Hail, hail, and welcome to HomeBhoys.
That's a really bad swear.
It says comedy, low honk, which I thought suited you pretty well. So.
Literally, Helsinki couldn't cope with the tempo we played.
I'm not mental or anything Wayne's World style, but is there a chance that I can meet you in the future?
But let's not suddenly pretend we're all pals. We're not going to be skipping up the Gorgie Road, holding hands with hat slams or nothing.
But do we throw back to the 80s, you know? we're trying to get football back to the 80s.
Aberdeen, Kenny kick a jelly bean. Rangers won a rubber duck, Celtic won the World Cup.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Wow. Tell me who your favourite player is.
My favourite player is Paddy McCourt.
Yes, Joe, get it right up there.
So, let's get down to business.
Hail, hail, and welcome to HomeBhoys number 66. Trick or treat. Our Halloween spectacular. Night of the Living Dead. The Walking Dead. The zombies. Finally, they've been put to rest. We hope. So we missed out the show on Monday. I suppose I should have a wee explanation. It was probably my fault. So if you were cursing anybody and at the end of the rest of them, it wasn't really their fault. Paul was a wee bit under the weather, but I was just ill with the drink. I've just finally realised that I'm that age now that I just can't drink and not be ill for days on end. But it's not stopped me having a wee glass of vino tonight. Shit! Right. So, anyway, usual crack. If you want to join in the show, add HomeBhoys as a friend request on Skype. I'll accept it, blah, 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 blah. Just call in whenever you want. If we got a lot of callers, we'll get you on. You can say your piece. We'll knock you off again. The parrot, you better come on tonight with something good, like, or you'll not be seen again until about maybe February, right? Anyway, so as usual, I've took the controls tonight just to give Joe's gas-powered internet a wee break. We've had a few mishaps with the technical side of things, which probably means everything will just go wrong from my end anyway. But so Joe, are you there, man? I know you were a wee bit late. You were having homemade Big Macs. Are you with us? That'll be a no. There we go. Straight off the bat.
Hello, you talking to me?
Aye, talking to you.
You're the only one called Joe among the stories. I couldn't hear you. I was downstairs. I hadn't got my headphones on. I was downstairs. Get shouted at.
So just right, you said your hello, right? In fact, because I've all just spoke, so you're all there. So I'm joined tonight by Joe McKenna, Jason Higgins, and Paul Larkin. Happy days. You all right, boys?
Yeah, fine and dandy.
Good.
You have a good Halloween. Were you out trick and treating? Were you have thousands of kids at the door? Jason, what's happening with you? I think you went through about 60 bags. You were saying.
Yeah, me and the missus, she done messed it, made up about 60 bags, all done and dusted. Some of the late stragglers, they just get dooking in the sweetie jar because there was 10 bags left.
Any onions dipped in chocolate or?
That's my mate Larry. He the funny one. one of the last ones that came at his door once had nothing left. So wee boy was about 5. He gave him a watermelon. The wee guy could hardly get his back in again.
I seen Joe's cousin in New York painting potatoes or something, like toffee apples or something. Like.
And I tell you what happened there. He was actually every year he dresses up as a black footballer, and he blacks himself up.
That's right.
And he was going to beat Thierry Henry in New York, and he's living in Brooklyn. And I was like, Colin, that's not a good idea, man.
Nah, that's not going to work, man.
Blacking yourself up in Brooklyn, that wasn't a no. Not going to happen.
Plus, it's just going to get all washed off, isn't it? Anyway.
I was going to say.
Not going to get far with that. Like,
yeah, that's too tsunami.
Jesus.
I'm not actually laughing at that. We've got a lot of good friends in New York.
Definitely.
I'm taking the mickey and making some ill-mannered jokes. That's not the case.
That's just Joe. He's a failed comic. I know you know why. He was hated on the circuit.
No, it's like you just brought up the fucking thing, and that's my fault.
Aye. Right. So listen, we'll get cracked straight into things. I've got a wee kind of agenda. It's going to be a busy night. So I think. Wait, no, I'll just send that email. Right, so I think we'll just go briefly. We'll just talk briefly about the Barcelona game. I mean, I know it was only just over a week ago, but it seems like an age ago. There's been that much football since. Like, then we've got a couple of other wee subjects I'd like to talk about tonight. But first of all, we've all start off in the Barcelona game. I don't think any else travelled, but I know certainly me and Joe. Nah, neither travelled.
No.
Joe. Well, Joe, listen, we'll go to you first. You're usually our gracious host for the last few shows, so just we want to keep this kind of brief because everybody's covered it, but I just kind of want to get your own thoughts on the game because I had thoughts that I initially had probably with the euphoria of the match, and I listened to a couple of the shows on Hail Media Network, and I was kind of annoyed at some of the things they were saying, and then I actually made a point because I taped the game, I watched the game again, and I kind of agreed with most of the things that were said, so I kind of had two different points of view on it. So Joe, I'll go to you first. What was your take on the Barcelona game? How did you feel at the end? I mean, it was a sickener, but how did you feel they played? And just
going
a general...
into it, it was a real nail-biter because, I mean, you didn't know what was going to turn out. I think everybody had real belief and the team had something going and that they could go there and at least defend well and try and contain Barcelona. But as the game sort of started, the first 10-15 minutes, it was all pretty much just Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, as it went on, and I could see that Ambrose was on the game, I could see Wanyama was playing well. Started to get more comfortable watching it. When the goal came, it was just unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I was just like jumping around the room, going bananas. I had a fear they were going to score before half time, and the goal they did score, like, I mean, you can't really stop that. It was classic.
When we scored, I actually kind of, and I was the same at the end. It took me a minute to sink in. Not a minute, but 10 seconds. I mean, I actually sat there and looked, and I was scared to jump up and shout in case there was going to be an offside or something. I mean, it's something that it just felt like that couldn't have happened. Do you know what I mean?
When it went in, like, my first reaction was yes. It was and it was like just shock, just sudden shock. I just sort of same thing. I sat there, and the next thing, everyone was celebrating. I just couldn't believe it. But I mean, as the game went on, I thought, right, we're hanging in here, and I think the biggest impact in the game, I think, might have been Samaras going off.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was doing a real good job of just causing trouble. Definitely. And I mean, if you watch the replay of the goal, it was basically James Forrest turning it off for the split second. You know, that's all it was. And it wasn't long on the park. It wasn't with the pace of the game, and it was just one of those things. I mean, 20 more seconds, and you have an amazing point in the new camp, but it just wasn't meant to be. But I mean, even though I was sick at the end, but I still sort of walked away thinking they couldn't have played any better. They really couldn't have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I kind of disagree with bits of that, but we'll come to that. So, Paul, we'll come to you then, Paul. What was? I mean, I listened to you. I listened to you do the HomeBhoys Down Under show. You were one of the first to get a reaction at the game. So, but just if most of these people probably haven't heard it, so you just want to kind of give us your thoughts, man.
I think in these kind of games, when you're facing that opposition away from home with Celtic or international games, you see it a lot. It's the first stage is to not concede early.
Mm-hmm.
The second stage is to then kind of solidify your shape, and then the third stage is to try and score a goal. And we've done all that. And I was kind of quite surprised by that. Barcelona and all that kind of thing. And much like yourselves, it was a bit like, Jesus Christ, we've scored a goal, and especially the played down way that Samaras celebrated it. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like a bit like what Joe says, is it? Or and you said yourself, Christ, was that offside or anything like that? Fantastic goal Barcelona scored to equalise. I mean, it's almost, you just can't defend that kind of quality. And we would get camped in and stuff, and you are kind of expecting to score the way it was gone. But as you say, the longer it goes on, you're thinking, Christ, we could actually get something here. Mm-hmm. And it was a real sickener when it went in. It was one of the horrible first part 2005 feelings when you think you've just done it and then suddenly it's snatched away from you. Analysing the game after it, certain players could have done better in certain situations. I didn't think Gary Hooper had his best game. I agree with Joe, Forrest switched off for their goal. But overall, I was delighted with the fact that at least when we did attack, we attacked in numbers. We didn't quite park the bus. And there was a progression there, although I was sick, to lose a point at the end.
Mm-hmm. Jason, I'll come to you then. I mean, I've got a few things that I'd like to bring up, so then I'll come back to you then and see what you think. But I'll get your overall thoughts first, Jason.
I was delighted the way they played, and I thought for all Barcelona are an amazing side. I thought we were in control, apart from maybe about 3-4 times where Barca had good chances. Their first goal was world class. I mean, they were talking about when Yama could have stepped out and stuff like that. I mean, you couldn't defend against that first goal. So, fair enough. And to be fair, I thought actually Forrest done well when he came on. I thought the game opened up a bit, and there was actually a bit at the start of the second half. It was going a bit end to end, and a couple of times if we'd a better final ball in the middle of the park, we were clean through. So, and the chance when Yama missed the header in the second half. Mm-hmm. So, that was a big moment. I mean, if he buries that, you're saying, oh my God. But and I was gutted in this. James Forrest turned off a bit at the end, but I mean, you've been awfully critical blaming him for the goal because you're turning off against one of the best club sides in the world that's ever played the game, and it's for a split second. But I was absolutely devastated and gutted. Hardly spoke for about half an hour after the game, just shell-shocked, sick, the lot. A lot of people were saying, it's all right, I mean, I'm feeling great and stuff like that. I was devastated. I was utterly gutted because they put that much into the game, they deserved something out of the game. I'm not saying we deserved to win, and I think that it was 75-25 or 77-23 or whatever possession, but I think Celtic actually played well within themselves. You notice with Barca, the first 8 corners, they played them short, and then the last 3 they put in the middle. So they were sort of running a wee bit out of ideas. I know they don't really, they just keep playing and playing until they get the goal, but it doesn't always come, and I thought we were going to hang out, but it wasn't to be. Very proud of the players, totally, but devastated from at the same point, absolutely gutted.
There's a 2 or 3 things that you said there I'll pick up on then. First of all, I was the same at the end. I was near close to tears, to be honest with you. And like Vicky's in the next room, I could get her. She would tell you she didn't speak to me for about half an hour. She just knew, just to leave me. Do you know what I mean? I actually felt that bad because it was that you were so euphoric about this. Supposed to be to have got the result, that would have been unbelievable. It really would have been unbelievable. Neil Lennon would have deserved it so much. Just a couple of things that you said. James Forrest, I never even thought, even watching it time again, like that night, the replays the goal, it never even occurred to me that it was his fault, to be honest with you. It was just one of these, that it was a good goal, I thought. It was a great ball, and it was just one of them. That was it. Maybe it was just because I was so gutted, I wasn't really thinking about whatever, but I never actually sat there and thought, okay, I wasn't cursing James Forrest or anything like that.
See the one thing that nobody picked something? I thought it was Kai Albert, it might have been Ledley or something like that. I'm sure we had a foul at the edge of the box. See, just before, but the ball went out the way, so the ref let it play on, and see if he blows there for the foul, that's the game over.
Aye.
And another touch that nobody's really known, I don't think it was a foul to us when Brownie went down for our goal. For the cross in, he played it well, he sort of played for the foul a bit, so peaks and troughs. I thought Messi went down off easy a few times as well, that's what he does.
I thought Kelvin Wilson was hurt as well.
Kelvin Wilson had a game. Kelvin Wilson, just quick, I want to say something about James Forrest, right? I was screaming about James Forrest earlier in the game though when he came on. There's a hesitancy about James Forrest this season, I don't know what it is. 3 times in a row in the space of 10 minutes, he had the ball, with only the fullback to take on, and instead of not passing and running on, playing what his strong point is, he held up, and tried to cut inside, and he got he got tackled every time, and I was screaming at the television, take the man on. That's just one thing. Kelvin Wilson, Joe, you bring up Kelvin Wilson. Kelvin Wilson had the sort of game that made Fraser Forster the Celtic goalkeeper he is when he played like that in Europe last season. Was Atletico Madrid? No, Atletico Madrid, was it?
Yeah.
Aye. Kelvin Wilson had the kind of game, I think, last week that makes him a Celtic centre half, if you know what I mean. He should look back at that performance and walk about with his chest out, because he was unbelievable. Some of the tackles he put in on the night were just unbelievable, and it really is. It kind of sums up his season so far, I think. What do you think?
I think the impressive thing is, I think Neil Lennon has told these guys, this is where you give your biggest and best performance, and it's guys like Kelvin Wilson and guys even like Ambrose, and I think Ambrose maybe still on the fence with him in a certain way because he's still quite new. Mm-hmm. But Wilson, I mean, he's settled in now, and to give that kind of performance in the new camp against that Barcelona team, that's career maker sometimes. You know what I mean? Depending on where you are.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Now, Jason, you said something there, right, that I completely agree with. You says you think we played within ourselves, right? Now, at the end of the game, I just couldn't. There was nobody would have told me that wasn't one of their best performances in Europe, right? And I heard a couple of I listened to the Temporary Stand podcast and I listened to the Rebel podcast. They were quite critical of a few performances, right? And Marty and Scott, I think it was, both says they'd watched the game again. So I thought, well, I had it taped and it was still there, so I'm going to watch it again and see, because I was annoyed at some of the things they were saying. And then when I watched it again, I kind of agreed. I thought, Joe mentioned Wanyama at the start. I thought Wanyama, I didn't think Wanyama had a good game at all. I thought Mulgrew was pretty poor, and I thought Ledley was pretty poor. And what I mean by that is they defended brilliantly. And I know that was the main part of their job on the night, right? We know we were going to defend. That side of their game was amazing. But for the players like that, and especially those three I mentioned, they're the kind of guys who we need to be, when they get the chance on the ball, they've got to be more comfortable. They've got to be more composed. And we were very panicky whenever we got possession. And we gave away cheap possession a lot of the time. And you're giving up that much possession anyway to Barcelona. We were making it too easy for them, as in giving them the ball back, making just bad decisions and bad choices. And I know a lot of that goes to inexperience, but at the same time, these guys they're international football as well. Joe Ledley's international footballer. I just felt we gave away the ball cheap a lot, and we panicked and made bad decisions.
You're saying there, and I totally disagree, mate. I don't think people are actually putting into words how good this Barcelona side is.
Oh yeah, right.
And how that they are like flies run shit when they lose the ball. And as soon as we've got the ball, every one of them is working at a rate that is so alien to everybody in our team.
But Jason, I'm telling you, I watched the game back, and there was times when we
understand the pressure we're under.
I'm saying to you, there was times when they had time and space on the ball, and they were just making the wrong decision time and time again.
I think the problem there might be is you're playing a team like Barcelona, and physically and mentally and on the ground, you want to try and match them, because if you don't match them, they're going to see a weakness in your play. And I think that's probably where bad decision making comes from, because our players are out there facing the quickest thinking football players that exist today, and they're trying to match them, and they haven't got that skill. So of course they're going to balls up and
that's what I'm saying. Our performance could have been better. Our passing could have been better. Our ball retention could have been better in simple situations.
We could have better players, Harper, but unfortunately we play in the Scottish Premier League where we don't come up against players like that at all. You know, we don't come up against players like that at all. So it's so alien, the football we're playing there. I thought the Celtic team done unbelievably well.
So they are, but they could have done better. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we can always do better. We can win the European Cup. What we do better every game?
Well then, so what I'm saying is come 100% right then, isn't it?
Yep.
So how can you completely disagree?
So we all agree.
Aye.
Right, listen, so...
One more thing about Wanyama. See Wanyama, I mean, you're saying you didn't think he had a great game, but he can't be a superstar in every game. But see Wanyama...
I thought it was excellent.
I thought he was excellent too, but see Wanyama, he has a bit of the Patrick Vieira about him. But I think the level he's playing at now, even like mentally or physically or however he's playing, I think he's got at least another 3-4 gears he can go up. I doubt they're going to be a Celtic. But see that guy, I mean, even Owen Coyle said this guy's one of the elite performers. But if he was playing with a better class of player, he'd have taken Barcelona apart by himself. He would have been fantastic, I think. That's me giving him a big up.
I just thought he was pretty anonymous in the game. He done his breaking down, his defensive duties perfectly, in my opinion. But the other stuff just wasn't there. Now listen, we've been joined by a caller early on, Terry O'Neill. Terry, happy to have you on the show again, man. How you doing, Sam?
Not bad, Harper. How's it going? I was just listening to your conversation about Barcelona there.
If you've come on to shout at me like the rest of them, you can just... Well, I carry on. Carry on.
What I was going to say was, I've watched teams like Arsenal, Man United play Barcelona, and what happens is normally Man U, Arsenal, Celtic, we dominate the opposition that we play every week. So when you come up against the Barcelona, and they'll have the same stats as what we had, 25% possession. Yeah. What tends to happen, even with good teams like Arsenal, who are probably the closest I would say in terms of English team, in terms of ball retention, you even see it with them that Barcelona's got the ball that long that even when they get the ball back, you tend to rush. Barcelona close you down every turn. So you're playing an alien game. They're playing their normal game. So that's what I think. Added to the fact that our players aren't as technical as theirs, there's about 3 or 4 things that all come into the mix that make you give the ball back and make you play passes that you wouldn't normally play and make you play passes hurriedly. And I think it's all just to the fact that Barcelona are such superb professionals at actually holding on to the ball that when you get the chance you tend to panic a wee bit and you tend to rush things. I think one of the biggest things in that game last week was the fact that Big Sammy went off.
Definitely.
I mean, he's just about every ball that went up to him, he was either winning it and laying it off. And when he went off, that outlet wasn't there anymore. So obviously, Hooper's he's not the type that's going to hold the ball up. So I think that losing Sammy was a big blow, because in the second half he might have had, you never know, like the way we played defensively. I think Wilson and Effie, that's a partnership that was born that night, and it's the first time I've thought confident about a Celtic centre half partnership, and I can't even mind how long.
That means they're cursed. That means they're cursed there, Terry, because I feel good about it too. Because that means they're cursed as well.
But see, just to stick on Samaras, right, Terry, and listen, I maybe choose my words. Maybe I'm sounding harsher than what I really mean to be. But see, when you're talking about Samaras as the outball as well, right? Samaras is the kind of player, and although we don't know what decisions he is making in his own head, like half the time, but he is the kind of guy who would have took the ball and held the ball, and he wouldn't have made the rush passes, and he wouldn't have made the wrong decisions the majority of the time, if you know what I mean. And I just think that's the kind of level head that maybe more experienced players would have. And I think we'll be better at that at Celtic Park, because I think the players will maybe have a wee bit less of the fear when we play them again at Celtic Park after the performance.
I sort of disagree again. They're going to be more dangerous at Celtic Park.
Oh, they are, aye.
If we open up anyway at all against them, they could eat you alive.
Oh, I think so as well. I agree with that, but I think your players can play with a wee bit more confidence and their own self-belief.
Well, here's hoping. But see another thing, I wouldn't mind asking Terry what he thinks about this. See the Barcelona defence, Terry. See, because we are not putting them under a lot of pressure. See in the second half, do you not think they're full of running? See their defenders. So it makes our forward line look absolutely terrible, because their defenders have hardly put a shift in, because their midfield and their forwards have been doing all the work, doing all the pressing, and their defenders sort of come into their own in the second half as well, because they're sort of rested. Alright, your Xavis and Iniesta, they're the most unbelievable athletes, because it's the wee sharp turns they do constantly. I mean, I'd be blown out my arse after about 10 minutes doing that. And they are just at it constantly for 90 minutes. But you don't think, see, the defenders, you know, we got a chance in the second half a couple of times, and they just come in and take the ball off you because you're knackered.
Well, the guy who scored the winner was their left back. So I come back to Sammy again. I mean, their right back was relatively inexperienced. I can't even mind who the boy's name was, but I thought
Bartra.
I think Sammy had like the measure of him. And I think that the greatest thing for me, I went into the game thinking we were going to get gubbed. I didn't think we would put on as good a show as what we did. I thought we'd get beat 2 or 3-0, if I'm being honest. Now, I think we'll play a carbon copy of the game that we played in Barcelona at Parkhead, because we'll be forced to. I don't think you set out to be gung-ho against Barcelona. You set out to contain them, because they're going to have the ball regardless of where they play. So I think we'll play almost a carbon copy, and I'm just hoping and praying that Big Sammy's fit, because I think he's the type that if he can weather the storm, and we nearly scored we scored for one set piece and nearly scored for another. They're definitely vulnerable in the air, and that's all you need. If you put in 3 good crosses, Charlie McGrew, that cross for the goal is just
sublime.
I'd have signed Charlie McGrew in my mind. I'd have signed Charlie McGrew because of that exact delivery. Mm-hmm. He's always been capable of that, and that's why I was glad to see him sign, and he proved it in a big occasion. I just think if we go out with the same attitude, the same application as we did in Barcelona next week, I think we've got a chance.
See the thing about Samaras as well, right? When you hear Iniesta saying, we had a wee joke about this in the last show, saying that he was the one to watch, and we were saying, well, hopefully there'll be more players to watch that, but I know Barcelona are probably not too worried about too many players, but if Samaras does play at Celtic Park, they will have an eye on Samaras. They will know what he can do. They will know he can hurt them, and then that creates space for the likes of Hooper, because when we're going forward, suddenly they might have 2-3 men closing down Samaras, and that's when you've got to be a wee bit intelligent. And players like Scott Brown and Gary Hooper will find the space that's created because they're closing down somebody like Samaras. So it has a big, massive effect, a player like that being in the team, and by God, please God, I hope you're right. I hope he does make the second leg. Paul, just bring you back in. Is there anything else? I didn't want to dwell too much on Barcelona because we're half an hour in already, and we've another 2 games to talk about, and a few other things like.
Can I come in a segue here?
Aye, a segue hasn't taken it away from Barcelona.
Yes.
Well, wait now. Let everybody get their final thoughts on Barcelona first, then we'll come back to it, right? So, Paul,
just touch on the thing you said about Mulgrew having a good game. I think you're right, and a mate pointed out to me after the game that how Lennon had said before the game about we're not here as tourists, we're not going for any tours, we're not in the tunnel, we're not going to swap jerseys. Mulgrew was the only guy I seen walking off the pitch with a Barcelona jersey. And it's because I thought he was awful, but he just couldn't get into the game at all. I think that I agree with kind of the guys are saying that you can only you can think you're playing the best football you like, but you're up against the best team in the world. So no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you think you're playing, especially Iniesta and Xavi, they are the heartbeat of the Barcelona team. The most pleasing aspect for me, for that perspective, is the fact that Messi never really picked the ball. And I believe that was the first game this year that he's never had a goal or an assist in. So, we've done things that, if you put that around the panel the night before the game and says Messi will hardly get a kick of the ball, I don't think many of us would have believed that.
Unbelievable. And see just something about Messi before I bring the rest of you in again. See, I didn't watch a lot of Spanish football, as you know. I didn't watch a lot of football outside Celtic, right? And I haven't seen a lot of Messi, to be honest with you, right? Just the wee highlights reels you see in Sky Sports because he scored this hat-trick, you see the goals, blah, blah, blah. I hadn't really seen that side to him, with the constant bitching at the referee and constant moaning about getting tackled. Now, is that part of Messi's is he like that every game? Or is it just because he was so frustrated at how well we played him? Because I'll tell you now, I hear people moaning about Ronaldo, that he's this, that and the other. I didn't see anything different in Messi for the moaning and the complaining look.
But I think it's just because Ronaldo's better looking.
But Joe, you watch Barcelona. Is he like that? Is he quite petulant like that?
I think he was a bit more. I think it's a bit heavier on that than he played us because he wasn't getting much. But normally, is he like that? Yes, I think he kind of is. But he also has said to him where he gets kicked fucking more than any other football player I've ever seen, and he also gets up and gets on with it. So there's 2 sides. Well, there's 3 sides to every story. Right?
Jason, final words on Barcelona.
No, I've said my bit. I'm happy enough. I was gutted, but here's looking forward to next week. Can't wait.
Right, Terry.
Can I come in just on
you can.
the gutted bit? See, I'm really superstitious when I'm watching the game, and I was watching it myself. My boy, my father-in-law, they were away at the pub to watch, so I'm sitting in a chair, and my wife comes in, and she's kind of hovering about, and she knows for previous times that I don't even like vision. I don't even like movement and like the outside of my vision. I just like to be fully focused. So it's coming up at the end, and thingy, Villa's hit the post. So I'm thinking to myself, well, they're not going to score now. But at the same time, you're thinking, don't say that. Don't even think it. Then Proven had said a couple of things like, not like.
Proven said this is the least I've looked like scoring in any part of the game.
So my wife got up and went up to the mantelpiece, and she kind of shadow fell across the telly. And I was like, they're going to fucking score. And they did. I've thought that a million times in a million different games, and it's not happened, but it did that night, and I'm like, why the fuck did you have to get up there? I mean, it's totally irrational.
I know.
And she was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, an idiot. And she was right, but at the time, I was that gutty, I was nearly beating myself. You just try to blame somebody.
Jerry, it has to be somebody's fault. Like, it has to be somebody's fault.
How could your missus like messing about with a pot puri and tap with a mantelpiece affect a game 3,000 mile away? But that's what I fucking thought at the time.
Hey man, when that butterfly flaps its wing.
And see one thing to add, sorry, I downloaded the podcast because I was listening to all the aftermatch. I downloaded the Radio Scotland one after it and listened to it on the way to work the next day.
Right.
And it was Murder McLeod. Thought they were excellent, to be fair. The aftermatch interview was brilliant.
Oh wait, what's happened here? We've lost Jason.
I'm still here.
You're still there, Joe. Everybody else still there?
I'm still here, aye. He was echoing a bit.
About a second.
We've lost Jason.
He was making about here. I'm just eating one of these homemade Big Macs you missed out on, Harper. Say they're divine, mate. Divine.
That's alright. I'm on a diet. I'm in training.
For football is.
Right, Jason's hung up. He's probably having to reboot his LPC. That's usually what happens to him when something like that happens. So, but I didn't really want to look too far ahead to the Barcelona game next week because we'll have a show next Monday night. Yeah. So we'll do a proper preview of the Barcelona game next Monday night. So moving on for the, I suppose.
I wanted to do the segue. I forgot that bit.
Oh, sorry, segue. Carry on, Joe.
I'm gonna link Barcelona to Kilmarnock very loosely as they always do.
Right.
Do you think the fact that Scott Brown is being saved for European games affected the play against Kilmarnock? Do you think with Scott Brown had been thrown in there, the industry needed to win that game would have been in midfield?
Well, it's funny you say that because, and without going too far ahead to the St Johnstone game, Scott Brown obviously isn't just getting kept for Europe because he played in the St Johnstone game, which was a surprise to me. And he was absolutely outstanding in my opinion. As far as the Kilmarnock game goes, I'm going to have to put my hands up here and say I only seen for their penalty kick onwards because I was in doing some overtime. So I'm relying on you guys to tell me. So Joe, you tell me what was wrong with the Kilmarnock game. What was wrong with the lineup?
I just thought the midfield was really weak.
Mm-hmm.
They did. I thought maybe putting Wanyama in there, certainly Brown, would have shored that up. And I mean, not even just the midfield, but the drive and ambition of someone like Scott Brown in a team like that, and a team that's faltering on the pitch at home. And fairness, Kilmarnock plays some really good football. I mean, they deserve to win. Like they were the better team.
But Joe, the lineup against Kilmarnock, right? And I seen a few people comment on this, Paul included actually, on Twitter after the game. I mean, I envisaged Hooper not playing for the start for the simple reason that he ran himself at the ground against Barcelona. And as you are saying, right, how much possession he had, the mental strain, the physical strain in a game in 90 minutes like that, or 94 minutes. And there was always going to be players rested. And we said at the start of the season, this is why we've got a big squad. This is why the guys that come in have to do a job. And the guys coming in maybe never done the job. As I says, I never seen the full game. But what I will put out to you is before I go round the table about the game, Chris for the Lost Boys was sending me updates on WhatsApp, and he told me they played. He thought they played well in the first half. They just never got the breaks. He thought they dominated the game. I think sometimes whenever we get beat these days, there's an automatic response that it was the worst performance ever because we got beat. But Chris told me he thought they played really well. I never seen it, so I don't know. Jason, we cut you off, right? We've moved on to Kilmarnock, but you had one wee last thing you were what to add. Then we'll let you finish your story, and then we'll come back to Kilmarnock.
Oh no, it was just I was listening to Owen Coyle, McLeod, and
Yeah.
Neil Lennon after the game, and it was just Owen Coyle said when he was manager of Bolton, you get access to every kind of stat in the world. See, after a Premiership game, the Opta stats, how many passes complete and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's heard it, but he says the biggest doing they got or whatever. One of the teams you would compare to Barcelona in English terms would be Arsenal, and he says after a game at the Emirates, he says Arsenal. What's that?
Don't know. Somebody's just drunk.
All right.
Oh, that's me. It's me.
I thought something was doing for chips there.
I know.
I'm having
chip bag.
my dinner here.
I mean, have your dinner and come back 10 minutes in.
I'm having here.
So what he said was, he says Arsenal would pass you off the park and you would get a doing off them, and he says it would come back and it would say they would hit 500 passes in the game. Barcelona against us had 1,000.
Just to add to that, Jason, I actually read somewhere there was 4 Celtic players in the new camp that ran over 10k in the game.
I mean, unbelievable. And they're saying they didn't play well. But every Celtic player should have got a medal coming off that park.
That kind of leads us on to then again, just what we were saying about players who were rested for the game against Kilmarnock. When you talk about the kind of stats, it's no surprise that some of these guys for the engine room never started the game against Kilmarnock. And as I just kind of said before Jason came back on there, we spoke at the start of the season that we have a big squad. This is when this is what the likes of Miku were signed for, to come in for these games. I mean, obviously, we're hoping they'll maybe become first team players, but they should be good enough to come in and start games, and for the likes of Hooper to get rested, Wanyama to get rested, who are big players, and that we should be able to then move on and keep that going against a team like Kilmarnock. Jason, you were at the game on Saturday. As I say, I'm saying to the boys, I only got home from my work. I was in doing some counting again on Saturday, and I only caught for the Kilmarnock penalty kick onwards, and I've seen no highlights since or anything. I've been too busy. So just tell me what was your thought, because there was a few things about players coming in and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I thought we were really poor, and I thought Kilmarnock deserved to win. You know, I very rarely say that at home, and normally if we get beat or if we draw, we've still deserved to win. But I thought in the balance of play, I didn't have many complaints. The 5 changes definitely disrupted us. We totally missed Scott Brown in the middle of the park, Wanyama. I don't think we had much shape, and your man Miku, his alarm bells are going with me the now.
He'd want to get a goal soon.
Jury's right,
I would have Tony Watt in for the start, because the game sort of changed when he came on. Kai Al's not been great. I've not really got many positives to say about the game. I thought Big Effie Ambrose was well dodgy after being unbelievable in the Nou Camp.
He'd have had a bobo about him, didn't he?
Their first goal, I reckon Fraser Foster's got a part to blame there as well, because he sort of hesitated, and I think if he goes for the ball, he gets it for Sheridan. But he sort of went back, and Sheridan done well, took around him. Fair play, Big Sheridan didn't really celebrate, so I always like that by an ex-player.
Did he, Balance? He was smiling.
He definitely celebrated, I'm going to show you that.
I thought he celebrated.
He just ran away to the side and stood there. He didn't give the arms up or anything like that.
He called over the guy that played the ball.
Aye. So I think he was alright. But then...
He's entitled to celebrate, is he not?
No, he's not.
He didn't rubber noses in it or anything, so fair enough. And I thought Azagiri, I think Azagiri's actually come back and played really well, but it was a silly penalty he gave away. He was running away for the goal. Yeah. And then 2-0 down, Tony Watt misses a great chance. But we scored, and what was wrong with it? See the goal we scored? We got I didn't either. So we could have 2-1 there, and then you know what we're like at the end. We would have done what Barcelona done to us.
Yep.
But Tony Watt, that chat, it sat a bit awkward. So it was rising up, and he's put it over the bar. But just bad day at the office. Certainly. But you're right. We've got a big squad. I think we'll still win the league, to be fair, you know, and that's kind of stuff that happens. You make 5 changes. I thought when Paddy McCourt come on, he didn't do much either. Yeah. But
can we just sidetrack on that then? Can we write Paddy McCourt off now or no?
No, don't be stupid. You're just desperate for that. That's all. You're getting that's becoming a bit old.
I'm a realist, Harper. I'm a realist.
Not based on 27 minutes on the guy's Celtic career in 27 minutes, a substitute appearance, first time in weeks.
I mean, in this time, though.
No, how can you say that when there are other players playing badly? To just pick him out for something like that just seems ridiculous.
We didn't have, our three best players, Scott Brown, Wanyama and Gary Hooper, none of them started. So at the end of the day, straight away, your three best players on the bench. So
Terry, is it just a European hangover, or is it done to the 5 changes and disruption, or is it the players just coming in who they're just not coming in and doing the job? Like,
I actually think Neil Lennon picked the right team. Because I said earlier in one of the nights I phoned you up that one of my problems with this Celtic team was, especially at Parkhead, is that they start the game at the right tempo, and if they don't get a goal, they continue in that tempo, and if they lose a goal, they up the tempo. Now, to me, a guy like Tony Watt's got enthusiasm. He played the week before, and I'm a great one for, like, if a guy plays well, he stays in the team. Now, I can understand why he never got a game at Barcelona, but for the next game out, domestically, I think Tony Watt merited his place. And I think what it has done was, I felt, okay, Miku had a poor game, but I don't think he's the type that you play up on his own against a packed defence. When he plays for Venezuela, invariably it's a counter-attacking one-up, he's the man. But against a packed defence, I thought he needed somebody alongside him, and Tony Watt should have been that guy. I'd have dropped Commons, and I know this is going to sound a bit ludicrous given the performance that it gave last night, the night before, but I think there's something about Commons' attitude at times I don't like, and I think he showed all that poor attitude in that game. It's like, if things don't go right for him, he disappears out the game. Ledley disappeared out the game, and I think guys like him, Ledley and Commons, have too many games like that for me. Especially Ledley, I don't see it. I know this is a bit of heresy because he's roundly loved with Celtic fans, but I look at Joe Ledley and I think, what is he actually doing in this game? Against Kilmarnock, he'd have been as well sat beside me.
Terry, you're missing the point of Joe Ledley. It's Black Ops, man. I've said this 100 times. Black Ops. You're not meant to know what he's doing, I think.
I think the overall thing for me is the tempo of the game. Neil Lennon even touched on it himself, and I think guys like Tony Watt help with the tempo. Guys like Scott Brown, I'm not as big as fan either, help with the tempo because they're on and they're enthusiastic. And Watt, for instance, you can't tie him down to one position. He's right, left, through the middle. So he keeps defenders on their toes. So I think you always go with 2 forwards at Parkhead. I thought it was a major mistake for Neil Lennon to play Miku up on his own. And you're expecting a hangover of sorts for Europe because obviously guys like Effie Ambrose, the back four, I don't think he wasn't playing, what's his name, the Welsh boy, but there's obvious signs there that we had a Still there?
Alright, we're still going.
I'm back there.
We lost the sound.
I was thinking about you against. See, we played St Mirren. See, we went for the jugular because you said that the last time we were on here. We were about the tempo and starting really well, and that was a big thing about the St Mirren game. Game done by half time, then you can make the changes and rest folk.
Inverness, all the away performances.
Right.
Maybe it's because teams are sitting in, it's a bit harder, but I still think there's for me, it's a form of cowardice that if you're up against a packed defence and the easy thing to do, the path of least resistance is to just shove the ball to the side. Joe Ledley's famous for it. Shove it to the side and let somebody else take responsibility. I like to see guys taking a chance, whether that be trying to beat a man or trying to thread a pass. And I like to see that at speed. Now, what happens is, if you're scared of the reaction of the crowd, you're going to play the game slowly, you're going to play the game safely. And that's no use. for me, you can't be a Celtic player if you do that. So I think Neil Lennon, he's recognised that. He probably went through them after that game, because you've seen it in the performance against St Johnstone. That's the way to play. You play at the tempo, you go at it, and you take chances. You don't play this tippy-tappy, side-to-side stuff. It's just... I hate it.
See, when you're talking about that, Terry, right? And to be fair to Neil Lennon's probably agrees with everything you say, because he was the first to put his hands up and say he got the team completely wrong and the tactics wrong for that game. And the difference was St Johnstone and the two of the players that you're mentioning, that you're all mentioning, to be fair, was Scott Brown and Tony Watt. Scott Brown was playing like a man possessed against St Johnstone the other night. He just came out flying. Everything was going through Scott Brown against St Johnstone, playing, and he was playing kind of that more right-hand sided role. But he was absolutely outstanding. And he does bring, and Tony Watt brings that youthful energy anyway, right? I heard that I was listening to the TikTok podcast the other week, and I'm probably going to take pelters for this, because they were all asked, who does Tony Watt remind you? And the first person whose name came to my mind was the same as BJ Max, and it was Jerry Craney. He does remind me of young Jerry Craney. I don't know if I'm going to take pelters for that, but I don't know, there's something about him reminded me of Jerry Craney when he first came into the team. But
he's got brown hair.
But he does kind of remind me of him, and I didn't understand how he didn't play on Saturday. That was I understood why Hooper wouldn't play. I didn't expect Hooper to play. But it was a mystery to me why Watt wasn't playing, and I don't think that's a mistake that we made again, because he's proven himself in every game. So it was a very, very strange one. Paul, what's your thoughts like?
I mean, to be honest, I give a fair bit of credit to Kilmarnock, because they came with a game plan. It was very similar to the cup final, and it worked because they got the first goal. I think what Jason says as well, the attitude and that some players, Terry, that it's, and by the way, a lot of supporters, probably myself included, roll up on Saturday and expect it to win easily. So players probably do as well in terms of that. In terms of the passing, I'm not really sure. I don't think I can criticise Celtic for that. There's a lot of teams, take Man United for example, whose whole game is to pass the ball and bring the opposition into a mistake, because they're going to sit in and they're going to play two banks of four, and then a guy in between the two banks of four. And it's really hard to break that down. You've got to mentally kind of shatter them so that one guy steps out of position, very much like what Barcelona done to us, and we had the one guy step out of position. So, but what I would like to see is the tempo has to be higher. Mm-hmm. It has to be higher. You're going to go into a battle with these teams, right? If you win that battle, you'll beat them, because you've got better football players than them. And the way you'll beat them is with a high tempo, and that's sort of collides into your point about Tony Watt. Tony Watt gives you a great tempo because he's fast, he'll take players on, and he'll put himself out there. I wouldn't really go with a comparison to Jerry Craney, because I don't think he ever left the box in his Celtic career. But Tony Watt will rip fullbacks apart if he can get isolated to them. And also the players that we had missing on Saturday, we also had Samaras missing on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And Samaras would be a great outlet against a team like that with that kind of game plan. And I agree with what Terry says, you cannot play Miku up front on his own, because it's not like playing up front against Benfica where the mistakes are going to be minimal. He needs to have somebody to feed off. He has to have somebody to feed off, or even feed in. Mm-hmm. And so I agree with what Neil Lennon says. He did pick the wrong team. The attitude wasn't right, and Kilmarnock were deserving winners for what they've done.
It's a wee bit worrying that this is a few times we've said that this season, because people have been questioning the fact that because Sevco are now in the league and maybe the players think that it's going to be easy and all this blah blah blah. And I think we spoke about it when we were up in Belfast, Jason. I kind of recall John says that that's up to the manager to get it into the players' heads. It's a mental thing that they've got to be properly prepared for these kind of games. And now the fact that maybe they think that it is going to be too easy for them. I mean, Jason O'Donnell, what do you think of that? Like,
it's sort of to do with your mental strength when you go to these games and getting the guys zoned in, and that's what the managers get paid the bucks for. He's got to get the guys mentally prepared.
The thing is, guys, Celtic are playing great away from home. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of that Motherwell performance, that's one of the few away games I've been to recently. Celtic were absolutely outstanding. Right. It was like men against boys, as I would say. And the Inverness game, okay, we lost 2 goals late on, but that game and the St Mirren game, you couldn't ask for more of the team. Mm-hmm. But it's just in the home games, as I say, teams tend to sit in a wee bit, and
is there a fear? Is there a fear?
At tempo, you make mistakes, and it seems to be some players are scared to make mistakes. Maybe they've not got the temperament at Parkhead because they get shouted at. I don't know. There's just something happens at Celtic Park that slows the game down, and maybe it's a subconscious thing that they don't want shouted at. But they need to overcome that. I know they're a young team. They need to have the courage to play the game quickly.
Well,
quickly, you make mistakes.
Talk about slowing things down. We've just had a caller who's never afraid to make mistakes, and he's never shy for mucking up in public. Here comes the parrot.
What an entrance, lads. Thanks very much. How are you doing, alright?
Not bad, man. Are you wanting to add something to what we're saying, or are you just coming with something completely different?
Here, listen, tell me this. I'd say the girl at 21 gave that birthday present who threw it out this week. Well, that useless bastard, Mr. Open Net.
Less swearing, please, at the back.
Yeah, I think, reference the game on Saturday, I don't know about you guys, I actually had a sore head watching Barcelona pass the ball about. So for the players who were picked on both occasions to go out on Saturday, I disagree a wee bit with Terry. I think when Yammer apart, I think Scott Brown's the best player we've got at that team. And the squad, his job is to get the ball and he just runs with it. His first couple of years at Celtic, he was a bit like a headless chicken. But now, I was at the game the other night and he just glides down the pitch effortlessly. The ball, everything runs through him and the ball gets sprayed about. I've got a couple of mad rumours for you. This one's the most ridiculous I've ever heard in my life.
Take a breath, man. Take a breath.
Go.
I sit beside two lads from Dundee, and on Saturday I come up, I just left Mr. McGrory's service with Paul, and I got up a wee bit early and was showing them various things. And I said, what's happening in Dundee? And they said, well, we've got a new player signing in January. And I sort of looked at them, I went, who is it? And they says, Scatchel. Supposedly it's a sealed deal. I'm going up to Tannadice on Sunday and I'm going to be getting in the wee social club up there after the game, so see what more I can find out. But
it's signed for who? For us?
Rudy Scatchel, he's just a couple of months deal with Dundee United, the number 51 strip to get himself fit, and he'll be coming into Celtic in January, so I don't know if that'll be as a squad player, because I think he would do as a turn, because if Scott Brown's not playing, who else could pick up that role?
Well, we spoke about Rudy Scatchell before. I think last time you came on the show and told us he'd already signed, I think.
I know, I was at that game the other night and just to take it off course a wee bit, I was telling a couple of pensioners, I was taking some pictures for the Beyond the Waves page, and there was a wee couple sitting behind me who make it talk to each other. They're retired, lovely old couple. They might be listening tonight actually, Patricia and Peter, and I was telling them about Hail Media and Paul's new book and stuff, and they told me they bought Phil McGillibon's book for Waterstones in Braehead the day it came out, and they had to ask for it under the counter. So there's an outlet for. I know it's all the cool kids are on Twitter and stuff, but I've not got any parents or grandparents. But people who should listen to the show should get their grannies and grandas into the show.
Definitely, man. I'm going to get you one of these sandwich boards.
Definitely. My only other thing is one of the boys. You're talking about Messi for the Barcelona game, Philip. One of the boys was sitting in with the Barcelona fans. He could only get a seat in with him. He was sitting three of them, and he said to them 40 minutes into the game, is Messi on the bench? Which they didn't take too well. The only other thing is...
You keep saying the only other thing is...
Oh, I know. Terry Cassidy put up, there was an excellent Kenny Dalglish interview today on Talk Sport, if he's heard that.
Terry Cassidy, you're keeping negative.
Beg your pardon, Tony Cassidy even. Well done, Polly.
Tony Cassidy.
The other thing is, my last thing is about Transformers for Christmas. Are you all buying your kids one?
What? For what, sorry?
Transformers.
And why would we be doing that?
Transformers are back. There's a Glasgow edition. If you remember the old 80s version of them.
Right.
Yes.
Well, Robots in Disguise.
They've brought out the Craig White one. He's going to be the old Soundwave because he had the tape recorder built in him.
Jesus Christ.
Just while you're the subject of jokes here, see Ali McCoy's dressed up as a pumpkin last night, hoping that at midnight he turned into a coach.
hopefully Tommy's going to give a wee call in. He was talking to David Murray today.
Was he?
Very briefly. I don't think it's the numbers. He was talking to Sir David very briefly. Sir David was telling him he was doing sterling work, and he's got another couple of mad phone calls. But no, that's about it, guys. To be honest,
I'm going to have to put this to the panel to see if that's another yellow card. No.
I like Barrett's pish.
I like the Barrett's pish.
Listen, I get embarrassed saying it in public, let alone coming on here. They all kind of text us on Tuesday night with lobbing pies at me, scolding Bob from Germany when I told them.
The best thing is, man, I pass all this on as fact.
Yeah, at least if they were lobbing pies in Bovril, they wouldn't have burnt you.
Oh, that's another subject.
Did you used to write that Tim rumour mill?
Yeah, Sabo from Great Chill must have been writing that heavy.
Let's assume the Parrot was right with the Scatchell one. Would anybody here want Woody Scatchell as a selling player?
I'm not wholly against Woody Scatchell.
My thing is, he's never done anything outside the Tynecastle.
My thing is, what do we really need him for? To be honest, and I'd rather. I've said this before. If we're just going to bring in other players that are as good as what we've got, I didn't see the point in it. We've probably got young players that we could blood in the team. Young Twardzik, for example, has played that role and done very well. I'd rather see players like that come in, to be honest. Unless it's
Dylan
McGeer, guy. Unless it's players that are going to dramatically improve the squad, I didn't see the point in it, to be honest. No.
Yeah, but he's also an experienced SPL player as well, so maybe they need that in the squad to help young guys. I don't know.
Nah, we've already got that.
He's a lazy bastard. He really is. I mean, you ask any.
Right, well, we're swearing. It's what's going on here tonight.
I was just conforming in Joe's language.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to communicate solely with me, Harper. But you jumped in. I know that's not your style, but I mean.
Right, okay. So are we done talking about Kilmarnock? I get completely lost when this fool comes on. Right.
Your pieces are getting spiked, Harper.
Give the Parrot the floor for the midweek game.
Exactly.
Well, I was going to see if you wanted to go completely away from that for a subject, then come back to the St Johnstone game, just talk about something else.
What you mean is, Harper, you are going to make us.
Aye, well, I am in charge, so there you go. I was at an interesting wee vote that was ran, and this is a thing that's been discussed before, and the thing about Lennoxtown and the renaming and stuff. And it's a thing. It's 125th year, right? It's their anniversary, and we've got the statues, Brother Wilfred, Jock Stein, and Jimmy Johnson. We've got the Jock Stein stand, we've got the Lisbon Lion stand, and I seen I think it was Melly's Boys. I can't even remember. It might not be Melly's Boys. It was one of the sites anyway. Ran a vote about what you think you would like to see the North and South stand renamed. First of all, do you think the stand should be renamed? And just I'll go around the guys and see who would you like to see these stands named after. Jason, what do you think about something like that?
I'd be fine with that. It's totally fine. I don't really care. See, even this, if they sell it for sponsorship, rename the stadium and that, I wouldn't give a damn. You know, I'm not really. But I definitely name it after players. Yep. So, I mean, for me, who would I want it named after? There's plenty.
Well, I'm going to tell you who was in. I'm going to tell you who was offered up then for the vote. I think there was 6 or 7 or 8 players waiting out. I just found
Feed our reset. Yeah.
There was the Brother Wilfred stand, the Fergus McCann stand, the Jimmy McGrory stand, the Willie Melly stand, the Tommy Burns stand, and the Billy McNeil stand. And you could pick that. You were to pick 2 out of those 6.
Jimmy Johnson wasn't in it.
No, Jimmy Johnson wasn't in it. No.
Can I add one in? Selfishly.
You stop butting in.
Charlie Tully.
Charlie Tully.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'd be in favour of naming the North Stand after Fergus, because the North Stand, when that went up, was like the symbol of Celtic coming back, you know. I remember when we played at Hampden that horrible season, and the supporters watched us drive past it, and you'd see it getting built and big up, and that'd be great. And for me, the only other name for the South Stand would be Jimmy McGrory, particularly after, as I'm sure the Parrot will see me, listening to people talk about Jimmy McGrory on Saturday, and who'd seen him play, and seeing his family and his son, who's the absolute image of Jimmy McGrory. What that man for Celtic is absolutely incredible. 550 goals in 547 games. was the manager of the Coronation Cup team, the manager of the 7-1 team. There has to be some recognition of that man at Celtic Football Club, because as Jim Blythe said to the Celtic Great Society, when FIFA were on doing their anniversary and they mentioned the great names of football, they said Pele, Puskas, McGrory. That's the esteem that he's held in world football, and I think it's overdue we have some recognition of that man at Celtic Park.
I totally agree. Like I voted in it, and I voted Jimmy McGrory and Willie Melly as a stand each. I just feel maybe the Brother Walfred, I mean, there's a statue there. Jinky, there's a statue there. Jockstein, there's already the Jockstein stand. I don't know what about Hill Media Park. That sounds no bad.
Well, the way has been a position to sponsor it this year.
I always said we should sell the rights to a Russian gun runner and call it Armalite House.
Stephen, I can see you getting a full-time spot on this panel soon.
What did you have for your dinner there?
Me, my wife made an organic Big Mac.
Papa was telling me. Taking a secret book.
Pretty much, but her own spin on it, like, you know.
Oh, excellent.
Terry, I'll just bring you in on that then. Don't know what you think about that kind of stuff. Is that something that bothers you? I'm not saying it doesn't bother you. Recognise the history, but is it something that you think is important as the club that in the 25th anniversary we should be doing more of this kind of stuff, and even like the Lennoxtown as well, maybe getting renamed and things like that.
I think in terms of renaming a stand, I would like to see Billy McNeil get a stand named after him, because for a couple of reasons. He's one of the few iconic Celtic legends that are still actually alive, and we tend to name things or build statues to people after they're dead. I would like to see recognition of Big Billy while he's still here, and as a mark of just how I don't think there's a Big Billy's up there along with anybody, and in our lifetime, certainly in my lifetime, and in the history of the club, the biggest trophy, the most prestigious trophy we've won, he was the captain. As I say, he's still alive, and I think in recognition of everything he's done for Celtic, I would like to see a stand named after him, or something done for him while he's still here.
It's not a bad shout, because he has been.
In terms of the North Stand, I agree. I think it should be named after Fergus, because that, for me, when it was rising up there, I mean, I told the story on here before. I took my wee boy in one time, Melon one time, and I said to him, I says, see that stand? I says, we're going to sit in there one day, and there's going to be thousands of Celtic fans. The passion's going to cascade down the stairs onto that pitch. I says, it's going to be phenomenal. And to see it and to sit in it, but to remember back when it was getting built, and the man that was responsible for building it, I think it's only right that we recognise that as well. And again, he's still alive, so I'm for me it'd be Fergus and Big Billy and Jim McGrory would be my three candidates.
It's, when you mentioned Billy McNeil, there's probably no better ambassador of Celtic, certainly in all our lifetimes. I mean, he's lived and breathed Celtic for player to manager, to pundit, to supporter, to ambassador. I don't know if he still is the official ambassador for the club, but I know certainly that was a title he was holding up until recently anyway. Just Glasgow Road there in the chat room said it was the affiliation. It was the affiliation website that actually ran that poll, which probably gives it a bit of credibility, I suppose, if you like, if that's the right word to use. Paradise Preview saying McNeil spent 18 years at Celtic playing 9 as a manager. So there you go, 27 years service to the club.
Didn't we chat about this the other day through messages, all of us, about how we're living in a weird time because we're actually going to live through the death of all these legends, which is fucking, it's kind of bittersweet, like, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It definitely is, definitely is. But it's just probably the thing is when you start to get older, it's just when you start to see these kind of things.
Yeah.
See your heroes passing on, like. So on that cheering up, Jesus Christ, it's always like you to bring the show down, man. What else did they have? I had other things here to chat about. I can't remember what it was. So we'll just get straight on to the St Johnstone game, will we? I watched the game. I thought we were absolutely different class. St Johnstone were just chasing shadows. the entire time. It probably completely validates everybody's points about the tempo of the game. He gone for the jugular right from the start. We were a whirlwind and we just blew St Johnstone off the park. Stephen, I'll bring you in then. You're still there. You were one of the few at the game. I'm not saying the boys here weren't, but I'm just saying the crowd was sparse. That's something else we could touch on about the League Cup and the sort of the financial hardships of supporting Celtic at this present time. You're talking about 2 games a week, most weeks. But you made it along to the game, Stephen, so what was your kind of take on the crowd, I suppose, and that? Because I always remember when I used to go to games, it was a midweek game and the crowd was disappointed. You actually felt disappointed yourself when you were there, and there wasn't a big crowd. You felt like the team always deserves to have a big support. But I just don't know, what was your feelings on the game and all that kind of stuff?
To be honest, Davey, I mean, I was loaded with all cold, mate, and I was sitting there and I seen the tragedies happening in the Caribbean and New York and that, and I went, right, it's a bit of cold. Celtic's on the night, I've got a few quid. It's 2 miles for me to walk it, so I just walked down to the ground, and you walk up that new road now at Kilmarnock train station, and it's showtime, Davey, the lights are on, and granted, there's a lot of snobbery going on just now with folks saying, oh, I'm going to this game, I'm going to that game, and there's people who can go to the game can go to the game. I mean, we've got to take into the fact that the overseas lads over in Ireland and whatever can't make over. The game itself is one of the best I've been at in a long time. I got to sit in the main stand for 15 quid. Sat with some lovely old folk. It was like cocoons sitting with me. I mentioned to the old couple sitting behind me about Mr McGrory and when Paul had been at his commemoration on the Saturday. I mean, I never get asked. I would name the South Stand alone for Mr McGrory over the fact that when Paul and Josh had did the show on Friday, there was a lot of talk about guys like Larson. I mean, Larson's things are on YouTube for life now. When you hear somebody like Mr McGrory walking for the Garden in Glasgow to training to save his tuppence to get the tram home, that's got to be worth a statue, or a stand getting named alone. But the game itself,
just before you got to that, see when you said you paid 15 quid to go into the main stand, so it wasn't a season ticket game? No, right, that's a big problem in itself, I think. Right, sorry, carry on, we'll come back to that.
No, I mean, the game itself, it ended up being not a bad night. The team played well, everybody was at a high focus. To me, you've got Scott Brown, you've got Wanyama in there, and the only thing I'd say about Saturday missing that, I know the team's got to be rotated around, but you've got to have Tony Watts starting in all these games because he's something that Scottish football doesn't like. They don't like big, strong boys that can run about and push them about, and as Paul and that will say, he's still doing the same running he's doing in the 89th minute he's doing in the first minute. Which gives guys like Chris Commons more freedom to about because the defenders are getting pulled out about. They're not 100% to chase every zone we're in. So yeah, I mean, it was a decent night. I mean, it wasn't too bad at all. I get some great stories about Mr McGrory. He says the only reason he made it is out the Garden Gad because it was the size of head he's got. The people sit behind us, and I ended up having a bit of a political spin. I put it on the Beyond the Waves, talking about various aspects with Celtic, and the old couple sitting behind me, as I say, Peter and Patricia. Peter's brother actually does Peter Lovell's kids' school run, so I'm sure our chief executive will be hearing some of my rantings.
I can't wait for the Peter and Patricia biography for my Christmas. Sorry, Stephen. Sorry, that's
really fine, David. It's fine.
Who else? Who's wanting to come in on the game?
I missed the game. I didn't see it at all.
So no, you then. Good. I'm glad you missed it.
I agree with what Stephen says. We were absolutely brilliant. Scott Brown was the key. Commons, great finishing, quick decision making. Clinical. Just trust your ability. And I thought it was a really good kind of answer back to Saturday's performance, and it was good to see the manager felt that as well, and he seemed beaming with pride with that, and I always think it's a mark of a good team to play horrendous in one game and then really come back with something like that in the next game.
Jason?
Did any of you notice the referee, Bobby Madden? I mean, I watched it on my iPad, and some of his decision making, his consistency, he booked, I think it was 3 Celtic players for practically their first foul. And there was a couple of the St Johnstone players must have committed about 3 or 4 fouls, and some of them were bookings, even if it had been their first foul, just didn't even speak to the guys. So it was as if it was like one rule for them and one rule for us. And I know it's like maybe a bit petty when you've thrashed him, but I thought the referee was looked like another one off the production line that we need to keep an eye on.
Well, that production line you can read about, and
referees.
You can read about that in a new book that we'll be discussing before the end of the show. The referee production line. Jason, your thoughts on the game? I mean, see, the thing is, there's not really. See, in the 1-5-0, there's not really that much to talk about. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think there's plenty to talk about.
In that game,
an absolute brilliant performance.
That's what I mean. But what I mean is, once you say how good it was, and that it's just about how good it was.
There's always more for us to talk about if we get beat, because you've got things to pick at and stuff like that. Just absolutely delighted. No, but I agree with what you said. It's the mark of a good team, and you put in a bad performance against Kilmarnock. And I agree with Paul. Credit to Kilmarnock. We're too easy just to say Celtic were this, Celtic were that. But they got their game plan right, and first time in 57 years they beat us. And I worked with a wee Kilmarnock fan, and he didn't go to the game. He goes to other away games as well, and didn't go. But fair play to them. But St Johnstone.
Jason, just to keep you on that Kilmarnock thing, right, Jason? Just before you go to St Johnstone, just for you're saying that Kilmarnock, right, and fair play to Kilmarnock, and that truly, I totally agree with that. And I'm going to get shot for this again, probably, right? But there's a tiny wee bit of me that isn't. This how do I put this right? Of course, I'm disappointed when Celtic get beat, right?
Because it keeps the league.
But there's a tiny wee.
I was going to bring it up as well.
There's a tiny wee bit of me that thinks, well, at least that stops the people saying that we're just going to run away with the league, because we're not just we are going to have we're not going to have a lot of games, but we're going to have a few games like that this season. I think we'll win the league probably at something like 12 points. To be honest with you, like, I don't think it's not going to be one of these win the league at Christmas, and I didn't want it to be. I want it to be competitive. So sometimes it's a weird thing to say, and I don't know how to put it across, but although I'm disappointed we get beat, it's not the end of the world either, because I don't mind seeing other teams doing well as well, if you know what I mean.
I think everybody's thinking the exact same thing. And to be honest with you, I don't think Peter Law will be too gutted either, because imagine it went into January, February, and we're 25 points clear at the top of the league. Not going to be much motivation for a lot of people to go to the game, but at the end of the day, Celtic aren't chucking it away. These teams are coming and playing well, and I think it's a testament to Scottish football. If we can go and we can spar with Barcelona, and then Kilmarnock can come and beat us, it's got to make them feel good as well.
Definitely.
It wasn't just Kilmarnock coming and beating us. They came and beat us, and they played good football. They played really good football.
They played the ball well.
They played well, and they won because they deserved to win.
The difference in wages and the difference in levels of skill between us and Barcelona is maybe Kilmarnock are nearer to us than we are to Barcelona.
Yeah.
You know, but there's similarities there. We do to the rest of Scottish football what the cream of Europe can do to us. You know, there's definitely similarities. If they come to Parkhead, I mean, there you go, 57 years. If they beat us there. If we played Barcelona twice, if we played Barcelona twice a year for 57 years, I'm sure we'd have beat them a couple of times in that 57 year.
Definitely.
Somebody said on Twitter that Kilmarnock did to us what we failed to do to Barcelona.
Yeah, probably right. They executed the task. Yeah.
But there's a difference in the gaps. Jason, you're right. Kilmarnock are closer to us than we are to Barcelona, if you know what I mean.
But at the end of the day, it still proves it's 11 men against 11 men, and sport is sport, and
100%. And it does come back to you're not that disappointed to see a kind of form of competitiveness in the league. Like.
Just delighted the way they bounced back. And Chris Commons, it was Dubé's hat-trick. His first one was possibly an own goal, but they've gave him it anyway, so fair play to him for getting a hat-trick. And I have no complaints whatsoever, and just delighted to be in the next round. And it's a cup that we never do well. And great goal with Hooper as well, just a poacher's goal, and Charlie Mulgrew done well. He sort of jigged him out and got it in his left peg and drilled it home. But it was a very convincing performance. I think St Johnstone aren't a bad side. You know, I think they're one of the better teams. And I'm absolutely happy we're in the. I'm not mad about this League Cup the way it goes on it next year. I wish it back to the old and played the final in November and stuff like that. That's what I would rather. But it's a bit of then they do the draw next week, and then you've what is it, semis, isn't it, in January or February?
Aye, that's right.
See, just something you just said there. Just reminded me of something. I have to come back to the Barcelona game for a minute. See, you're talking about Chris Commons' first goal could be an own goal, right? I had a tenner on Sammy for the first goal against Barcelona, right? Online with William Hills. I'm never betting with William Hills again, right? They had me sweating bullets the whole night. All the other bookies paid out at half time on Samaras, right? And Sky Sports were getting it as an own goal, and I was cursing. And Tal Fanzine said to me at half time, no, bet fair and everybody's paid out. William Hills didn't pay out until half an hour after the final whistle. What's that all about? Huh?
Aye.
Aye, right, anyway.
Hey, you poor bastard. You had to wait for your money.
Exactly, aye.
Yeah, I think the rule is there. See if it's on target and it gets an own goal, you get the credit. But if that's how the Commons one was dubious, because it seemed like it was off target, he shot, and it was diverted into the net. They normally wouldn't pay out in that, but they've credited.
Apparently, I was told the rules with the bookies are the rule, the steadfast rule with bookies is whoever the PA at the stadium gives the goal to. It's what they've got to stand by. It doesn't matter what television or papers, well, obviously papers is the next day, but it doesn't matter what anybody says, it goes by the PA at the ground.
I don't know about that.
I never knew that. I certainly someone I had never heard before, but that's what I was told. Just to stick on the League Cup though, right? Never mind here, just you wait.
Listen to me. Can we start laughing at the Huns yet?
What? No, we're getting to that. I just want to stick on the League Cup a wee bit first.
They
Right?
died yesterday.
See this crack. 15. Like Stephen's saying, it was great value. 15 quid for a ticket for the main stand, and right, 15 quid's no bad to go and see Celtic. It's very good to go and see Celtic, but in this day and age, the financial difficulties people are facing, the amount of games Celtic are playing every week, 2 games a week, a lot of weeks. I think that should be on a season ticket, and a competition that you see dwindling crowds every season. People are only interested in the final. There's got to be something to get more people into the stadium, and making that a game where you've got to go and buy tickets on a freezing cold night. That's just bad business sense, man. Even go out and just give thousands. I know Charles Green's getting slated for handing out free tickets to fill Ibrox, right? But in a different sense, Celtic could be doing that with kids. Tell an adult if he buys one ticket, he can have four kids tickets if you like. All right, maybe the adult doesn't want to take 4 kids to the game, but you know what I mean. There's got to be things done to try and bring people in for these games, or it's just it's horrible. It's horrible watching the game even on television. You see the empty seats. I know people will be listening to that saying, "Oh, well, you were watching the television." Well, I'm in Ireland. There you go. But do you know what I mean? There has to be something else. Terry, what's your thoughts on the kind of pricing structure of that there? That should be a season ticket game, should it not?
I'm going to be honest, even if it was on my season ticket, I probably wouldn't have went the other night. I couldn't be asked going the weather and coming in from work. I was a bit tired, and the game didn't turn me on, to be honest. I know it's probably a bit of heresy. You go to every Celtic game, but that's just the way I felt, and I'm quite happy to watch it on the iPad, to be honest. But I agree with the general principle that, especially for the League Cup, I mean, obviously the size of the crowd tells you that it's a lot of people think along the same lines, and there's the financial aspect. So I think I agree with you. Put it on the season book.
Paul?
No, I totally agree with you. People are picking and choosing everything these days, because of the economic reality of the world we're in right now. And I just think there'll be so much benefit to just be giving tickets away or making any kind of deals and all that, because, all right, they're not paying for a ticket, but if you bring all these new people to the park, they will go to the Celtic shop and they will buy your programmes and your Celtic news and all that now, and they'll create an atmosphere that will inspire the Celtic team. And it's really hard because, as you say, it's freezing cold. I mean, the League Cup's not capturing anybody's imagination right now. There was a game last night, Dundee United Hearts. There was 3,000 people there. Now, I know it's on the telly, but even still, 3,000 people, 2 of the top SPL clubs. Fans are not interested, and you have to get them interested. And I think what Jason said is why they're not interested, because it's spread out far too long over the season. The League Cup used to be an exciting competition where if you were in form, you had a chance of winning it over a period of 4 or 5 weeks. Now, I know we've got Champions League and all that kind of thing, but even still, there has to be some thought process into putting. I mean, they started to think better a couple of years ago when they put the semi-finals at a weekend, and the crowds went through the roof. 45,000 against Aberdeen, 35,000 against Falkirk. You put the midweek games at Hampden in January, you'd be lucky to get 20,000 there. So, and the pricing structure was good as well. But I think there has to be a rethink because, as you say, the fans aren't buying it. They're certainly
the players and stuff probably didn't bother about it. And let's be brutally honest here. The only time we'll get a real interest in this tournament is if we get to the final.
Get to the final, right? And the thing is, see, it turned out such a good game, right? Such an emphatic performance, the scoreline. What a game it would have been for a few kids to go and see their first Celtic game. Do you know what I mean? That's the hooks in 5-0 win, playing a performance like that. Like it's an opportunity missed. It really is.
So, like, I mean, at a game like that, can something not just say, okay, right? How about £1 a kid?
Mm-hmm. No, aye, because they're going to go in and spend a fiver anyway.
A fiver for you and £1 for your kid, £6.
Right.
We've spoke about this before. They don't seem to have any innovation with this kind of stuff at all. Mm-hmm. See, as we mentioned before, American sports, baseball and things like that. I know it's a long, protracted season, 81 home games, but they do like packages. Like you can pick 10 game packages, 4 game packages, full season. You can buy this, buy that. Celtic should bring stuff like that in. You could buy a season ticket that entitles you to 3 home games and 2 cup home games or whatever. And if you don't play it at home at the cup, you can transfer that to a league game. You know that there must be. They should sell season tickets for areas as well where you've not got a seat, but there is an amount of seats for that, so that obviously you can. I don't know. They need to be innovative with stuff like this because there are going to be less season tickets next year than there was this year, and it's going to keep dwindling because people are having less and less expendable cash. And that's just that.
Do you think the Green Brigade should auction off a seat every week for charity? That'd be brilliant.
I love them, but I'll tell you, when they take a seat in there free.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, people would. There's adrenaline junkies that go bungee jumping and base jumping, they'd be into that shit.
I'll tell you what, I was like watching Tag up on Tuesday night. There was more. I thought Princess Di was back for the grave. The amount of coppers they had standing around them there all night. There was boys getting coupled again. Unbelievable. But see what you're saying about
Grace.
See what you're saying about the marketing pitch you're talking about. I walked up and they must have listened into when that boy was on Davy's food survey. They've now got big boards up telling you can buy a burger for £4, a coffee's £2.50. Now you walk outside the Celtic control zone by 15 yards and I get a world class wee cup of coffee for £1 off one of the private stalls. So they can't even get the price of coffees right. I think a Bovril's up to £2.20. 2 the old punters on the bus coming up the road were telling me, but we've no chance of getting the dynamics of a stadium right when we can't even get the catering outside the ground.
I know, bloody hell. But see the way you touched on that Green Brigade, see the way the laddies are getting pinpointed with the police and that, and it's an absolute disgrace. It's an utter joke, so it is. It just breaks your heart. Are you guys going to be talking about anything like this tonight, or can I bring something up if it's not in the minutes?
Staying too far away. As far as I'm concerned, it's a police state attitude.
See, just is this about the Green Brigade?
Yes.
No, it's Stephen.
It's not actually about the Green Brigade.
No, I just want to stick on that first then, though. Sorry, Stephen. Jason, is it true what I'm hearing that Celtic are actively part of this, passing on a lot of details in the section onto the police?
Well, there's rumours going about. I mean, I'm not incriminating anybody here, but there's rumours going about some of the laddies have got their mobile phone numbers and that's been passed about and things like that, personal details for some of them. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I mean, for bringing about the atmosphere of a football game, come on.
No, that's out of order because it becomes something different when the club are involved in it as well, in my opinion. Like, and that's totally order. Like,
I don't know for a fact.
Of course not. No, I'm just saying. I heard that's something that I heard. Like,
what were you going to say, Stephen?
No, but I remember coming on last season and there was members of the Green Brigade telling Paul, my brother, that these boys were actually getting followed back and forth in the workplace. But the Green Brigade statement was released saying allegedly, and I'll say allegedly until it's 100% proven, I won't blame Celtic over this, that personal details, phone numbers, etc. has been handed out. Now, out with the Green Brigade, let's forget about the Green Brigade at the moment. There's, say, 40,000 season ticket holders at Celtic Park who had to surrender email addresses, phone numbers and home addresses. Now, some of these people live in occupied 6 counties. We live in a police state, so they all run in the same database. So if you're sitting in Strathclyde Police, somebody who works for the bandits over the water, shall we say, are able to pull up a data stream where everybody lives and works and phone numbers of Celtic supporters,
Surely-
which I think is totally unacceptable.
I agree with you, mate, but at the end of the day, State of Protection Act as well. Surely there's laws getting broke here.
Well,
If that's the
If
case.
that's happening.
yes.
Aye, if that's
You're
happening,
going to
there
the-
must be laws getting broke
I
here.
signed the documentation. If you work in a post office in any government building, the 1904 Post Office Act refrains you from releasing MD's personal details. Now, that's fine if you work in a government authority, but the problem is, how much trusting have you got in Strathclyde or any police force? If we look at the trams which happened recently in Merseyside, Yorkshire, Glasgow's not exactly got a great reputation, and I'm sure there's funny handshakes with our friends across the water sort of thing. So, you know, I'd say it on air, if it's proven right, I won't be getting another season ticket, and I'll just go rogue and buy one every week next season.
There you go. Been joined by another caller. Joe, sorry, we've been joined by another caller. Gary boy, you there, man?
Hi, how are you doing?
No, I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Just finally got round to looking up the courage to phone up now. And
First timer, you.
yeah, thanks, Joe. Yeah.
Gary, you on Twitter or that? Should I know who you are?
You know who I am, yeah.
That's sort of kind of scary. You know who I am.
I can see you.
I know what you did last summer, Harper. Fuck off.
Not a video call. Not a video call. Just a call. I'm just thinking what you guys are saying about the statement by the Green Brigade. Now, I've noticed it. We tweeted it, time and again, and I didn't get around to reading it. But I can't believe what I'm hearing. It's this is really. It's got 1984 written all over it. It's unbelievable. It's their only crime is bringing the atmosphere, like, the club. And why would Celtic be party to this?
I think it's a police mentality, to be honest with you. I think it's a police mentality, a worldwide police mentality, as in like groups of like-minded people get together and decide to be, display fervour and have a good time and be a cluster and a nucleus of energy and community and good feeling, right? And that's all these guys are. Yeah. Bad things are going to happen. The people are going to get mixed up. Things are going to go completely well. Look at the police force. Things don't always go well there. Things invariably go awfully wrong. But these guys are they're just trying to bring an environment, an atmosphere, and they're trying to express themselves. And the fact that they're being treated like they're rioters, like they're just about to start a riot any second. That's how they're treated. Like any second, they may just explode, and they have yet to do so. But yet, they're provoked.
No, of course, Joe. It's just people just say, it is too easy to criticise, the police, because it seems, to some people it's quite trendy to do that. But they are criticised for a very good reason. It's like someone said that if you treat somebody in a certain way, there's a good chance in time they'll behave in that sort of way. You can treat a person like a criminal, they might behave like a criminal, in time. But I'm not saying Green Brigade won't come to that, because the only weapon they've got is their minds and their voice.
Yeah, but for me that's base provocation, and that's, if you get a pit bull and you kick him in the balls every single day, he's eventually going to bite you back because he's sick of getting kicked in the balls. You know what I mean? So I think.
I think a pit bull will probably bite you after the first time.
Go to say, aye. Putting the balls every day. You maybe should have went with a hamster or something, Joe.
Well, a hamster doesn't got balls, Harper. So
a hamster doesn't have balls.
You ever milked a hamster?
A hamster must have balls, man.
Freddie Stars did. He's the clang of the night.
For that, son.
Oh, Harry.
I didn't realise that the level of police surveillance on the Green Brigade. I read an article, Jason probably read it as well, on Celtic Minded at the start of the week, and it cited about 4 different cases where boys had been arrested and the cases went to court, waste of taxpayers' money, and each and every one of the cases was either not guilty or not proven. And you had a case of a young boy applying to become a taxi driver, and the chief constable intervening in his application and saying he wasn't a fit and proper person because of his membership of the Green Brigade, and on appeal that get through out. So, I mean, it's ludicrous. It's like,
it's incredible.
I can remember Stephen.
I think there's a part of it. The real problem has and always has been the Rangers support. They've got a bitter right-wing reactionary part to their crowd, whereas Celtic have got, we're all about celebration, sure we sing Irish songs and that, but this whole legislation that was brought in was on the face, it's just a way of trying to arrest us along with them. But when they try and arrest us, our behaviour is such as they've got to make things up. They've got to trump up cases, and it's been shown by these cases going to court with little or no evidence. Guys getting harassed, guys getting put in jail for no good reason. And the tragedy is that Celtic are withdrawing these guys' season books until the cases are proven otherwise. Mm-hmm. So I just think the Green Brigade need a bit of back to the rest of the support.
Stephen, I'm sure you sent me pictures last year for the Glasgow Cup final where the young boys were playing. Pictures of the police filming the Green Brigade at the Glasgow Cup final.
I mean, that's the range, Dave. I mean, obviously, Neil Lennon took the trophy up when the league, obviously, the trophy was presented against Hearts and planted in front of them, and the manager came out the other day and supported the Green Brigade by a tweet, and then he came out and supported the rest of the fans that were there. But at the end of the day, they're a cash carry version of the Jungle. They're a bit left wing with a politics and stuff.
You get in there.
But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm behind him 100%. And at the end of the day, anybody who hands the lads' details over are employees of our football club. The Green Brigade are our football club. Mm-hmm. They can, Lowell, whoever it is, the guy who's ex-Strathclyde Police head constable who does the security at Celtic, they can all get replaced. We're the biggest show in town now. It's up to us for the club to get a pair of balls and stand up and support the boys.
No, I couldn't agree more. Gary?
It's Steve, it's just like, it's just like us and just like, all the other Celtic fans, the Green Brigade, they are Celtic. They are Celtic. They just, like you and me, then, they'll be there, and they'll be there long after the, powers that be are gone,
And the work, you're right, and see the work these guys put into supporting Celtic along with their hard-earned cash. The rest of us put money into supporting Celtic and go along, but these guys will spend hours making these tifos, hours putting them in the stadium. For what? Thanks for getting their numbers handed over to the police for singing songs. I mean, bloody hell.
But you know what? The same for me is, see in 30 years' time, I'll be 63, you'll be 90. Young lads are going to be saying to their friends, my dad was in the Green Brigade. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The same way, my dad was in the jungle, or my dad was here, my dad was there. Young lads are going to be saying, my dad was in the Green Brigade, and they did this, they did that, they did this, they did that, and then the police are harassing them. But you know what? And it's up to us to get behind them. It's just up to us to support them, because at the end of the day, they're getting support from nowhere else but themselves. And when they're in the stadium, outside of the stadium, what kind of support they're getting? Who knows who's following these guys around? Mm-hmm. Who knows their registration plate? Who knows their tax number? You know what I mean? Who knows how close they're being watched? We live in a very, very scary world. And like you said, Gary, you know what it is? It's 1984. You know what I mean? It's Orwell living. But you know what? That's the time we live in. And if people like us, for all we know, we're being watched, right? And, that doesn't bother me. I like attention. So,
can I give you one last scoop?
Here. Where'd you get the scoop from? Ice cream.
Peter Lawwell contacted Guantanamo Bay last week. He was looking for a second-hand cash and carry drone. They cut down to the police bills. He's just going to have a drone flying over the Green Brigade every home game now.
Right. Listen, we've got about 20 minutes left. I don't think there's even much point talking about the zombies, is there? I'm not interested in that, are we?
Oh, come on, let's just have a 5 minutes.
Yes.
I just made this quick point and then I'll leave. I know you're going to...
Gary, I want you to tell me who... Wait a minute, Gary. Gary, tell me a minute. Gary.
Yeah. Listen.
You says on who are you? You says I know who you are. Who are you on Twitter?
What's it, Tim?
Right, Somerset Tim. Right, so I never knew that. I'm not getting Gary Boy for that. No, right.
Show yourself, Gary.
That's you outed, Gary.
That's it.
Not up to say it, but no, just quickly. The young lads, the Lost Boys, are coming to the Bristol Celtic supporters club this Sunday.
Yep.
They, just chat to us about the club, etc. And I think hopefully we'll be on the podcast next week. So just to let you guys know.
I wouldn't hold your breath at how fast Mr. McGuigan will get that up, to be honest with you, going on his recent endeavours. But I spoke to Chris, and Chris is quite an excitable person, and I can tell you he's very excited about this weekend.
Here, is Chris going to be guest of honour?
I guess so, yeah.
And here, he'll be there with bells on.
Right, so listen, Joe, you want to talk about the zombies? I'm not that fussed, because we've got another couple of things to talk about. But
I was searching for zombie news, and I actually still didn't really know what happened. Somebody explain what happened. Paul, you're the kind of person that explains these things to me.
Basically, yesterday, Lord Hodge in his wisdom ratified the liquidation. I believe Collier and Bristol, with the lawyers that were involved in the whole thing, they were kind of challenging it about the ticket deal, and he poo-pooed that completely. So as of about 4 o'clock on Halloween yesterday, Rangers 1873 are gone.
Terry, can I just ask you, was that your wife casting a shadow at the podcast there?
No, she didn't realise I had this on. She was talking about
I thought she was up at the pot poorie there.
Every time you come on now, Terry, there's going to be this sound in the background.
As long as she was there,
So listen, the Rangers are dead, right? Let's just leave it at that, right? We've not got time to talk about them, and who cares? We're not interested. Jason, I want to come to you today.
Here, by the way, quick thing, sorry. I got FIFA 13 this week, right? And normally when you pick Celtic as your team, your rivals are Rangers. This year it's Hearts.
Brilliant. Perfect.
There you go. Just proof we're just taking notice.
Jason, today is the first day of what? This is you, Captain Higgins. You've got to get everything out here. We need people involved. We want your money, all that kind of stuff. Blah blah blah.
That's it. We've started a HomeBhoys Movember charity page. So we'll tweet the links on Twitter and stuff like that, and it's on Celtic Mind and whatever. So M that's want to join up, you're more than welcome. I think we've got 14 or 15 or some have joined the team already.
Jason, me and you were looking good on the banner on Hail Media. I'm not sure about Joe and Paul right enough.
They had a couple of imposters up.
We're not that game.
Aye, so as I say, we've started in November. I'm just trying to check it now. How many? About 14 or 15. So get yourself involved, make a mess of your face, and grow a wee Mauser for the month, and raise some money for prostate cancer for men and other cancer research. And as I say, it's all for a good cause, and get a laugh and take the mickey out yourself. So,
Jason, I have to say, I saw the picture you posted on Facebook earlier. You're clean shaven last night, and you've already got the peach fuzz today. I can tell you now, that's what I'll look like in a fortnight's growth. I can get away with Movember, no bother, because I don't look any different.
I'm going to look like a gay beggar by the end of November.
You look like that. You look like that right now, mate. I can assure you. We've just been joined by, he's just sneaked in at the back door there. We've been joined by Chris Kuyava. Chris.
Yeah, hell, boys.
Hell, man.
It's not like it's a bit cold, did it? I've not been clean shaven in 10 years. This is a weird thing to have.
That's the thing. I don't shave ever. I just shave with clippers. No, down to a number one. And now I've got to actually shave my chin. It's a disaster, man.
See, Chris, here, by the way, Chris, I want to just congratulate you on that podcast you done at the weekend. It was brilliant, mate. I listened to it the other day. Fantastic. Top class. And the wee bit at the end was brilliant as well. The story about Joey McGrory. Brilliant. So, 10 out of 10.
I was good at the human torpedo. Let me use that again. I've obviously been up the Celtic Underground podcast before, but I thought it was kind of fitting to put it on with the Jimmy McGrory ceremony.
It was probably one of the best podcasts you've done. I think it was probably the one you never spoke on, right enough.
I was thinking that myself. That's the best thing about them ones. I don't need to say it at all. I just sat and watched.
Chris, can I ask you something?
You've asked too many things tonight, in my opinion.
Okay, well here, I'm only like a part of the show, like, I mean.
Aye. Carry on.
Jesus, mother. Thank you. Fucking Hitler. Here, I know the moustache you're gonna grow. Right. What? Chris, are you now the guy? Are you recognised as the podcast guy now? Everywhere you go at events, are you that guy now? Because you've been doing it that long. You know what I mean? You've been turning out content that long and live stuff that long. Are you getting recognised that now?
I'll tell you what. I had 2 or 3 people come up to me at the ceremony on Saturday and ask me who I was recording for. So even then, they still didn't know what I was doing.
Right, Joe. So what's the moustache? What's the moustache that goes with that then?
What's that?
What's the moustache that goes with that? You says I know the kind of moustache you'll be growing because.
Talking to you, Harper, the Hitler moustache.
Oh me. Take me along. Hitler didn't have ginger hair.
Nobody had it. Hair doesn't matter.
Lustig.
Alright, Chris, anyway, you were saying?
Chris, you wanted to come on and talk about something, just ignore Joe.
Yeah. I was going to come on and talk about November because we're talking about it.
Right.
Obviously, we've got a good one. So 14, you said, Jason?
14
I think it's about 14, mate. Well, that was I got an email through somebody else joined me. I'll check it now. Is this the first time you've done it, Chris?
This is the first year I've done it. That's what I was saying there. This is the first time in 10 years I've been properly clean shaven.
Right.
I have to say, I'd like to just get, if she's listening, Marie Claire Fitzpatrick up in Newry who donated £5 to me last night. She was my first donator, so thanks very much, Marie Claire up in Newry. There you go.
There you go. So do you
get more money the better your moustache looks, or what?
I'm hoping so.
That'll be about the only fiver I'm getting then.
14 we've got. 14, Chris. Yep.
That's good. That's a good turnout.
Pete McKenzie and Tony Boyle are leading the now. 40 quid each they've got. You're sitting with 20, Chris. You're about 4th or 5th. I've got a tenner. Need to start moving here.
I've got it. I know for a fact I have now.
And we should emphasise the fact that none of that money comes to us. It all goes straight to Cancer Research League.
Yeah. I mean, for anybody that wants to register, you register at the Movember site, and they do everything for you. Mm-hmm. You just add our HomeBhoys site, become a member on ours. I think you can join as many sites as you want as well, many teams. But essentially, you raise the money on your page, but all the money goes direct to them. You don't need to handle any money whatsoever, and it all just goes direct to them. And they raise some amount of money. It's absolutely fantastic. And
we'll have a wee prize at the end of November for the best moustache in our group.
Yeah, I'll go to the vote.
And just talking about that, somebody actually made me laugh on Twitter. Friend of the show, Kid of the Week, Conor McKee, tweeted that Paul Larkin's book launch is going to look like a reunion of the Median cartel. with all the dodgy moustaches. So, Paul, that's a nice wee segue, Paul.
I like the way you done that.
You like the way I done that, man?
I'm grabbing a beer back a second.
Go to the shop for one. Paul, you had yesterday Halloween, latest book launched. Latest book's released. BMN interview and Beyond the Waves. It was a fascinating listen, really, really entertaining. But Paul, just sort of give us a brief thing about the book and what it's about. Proceeds are going to the book launch, all that kind of stuff, man. The floor is yours.
Yeah, we general plug. This book starts where Holes and Goals and Hesseling finished in terms of the timeline. Starts in June 2008, and it encompasses the kind of evolution of the internet, bandpots, and how the mindset of the sort of sales support changed over the last 4 years. But before we go into that, I kind of had a thought it would be nice to, especially for younger people, to kind of remember how bad it's been over the last, certainly in our lifetime and stuff, So it opens with a nice story about a Grade 1 referee who takes us right through what it was like for him to kind of rise up the ranks through the juniors first and all that kind of thing. Actually, he's shouting about decisions in a pub first.
Paul, and I can say I've read that, and it's mind-blowing stuff.
Aye. It kind of takes you through the things that was expected of him when he became a referee, the process that he had to go through to become a referee, the movers and shakers within the SFA, how things were run through the SFA. For example, referees had various meetings and all that, and he openly admits that most of these meetings took place were along the lines of watch out for him, he's always diving, watch out for him, he's always fouling, that kind of thing. But these meetings could never take place if they clashed with any kind of Masonic meeting in Scotland. That was the rule. And he tells you various experiences that he had as somebody who wasn't involved in the Masonic lodges of Scotland and the kind of way he was treated because of that. He openly tells you stories about various games that he'd been part of, high-level games and stuff, and the behaviour and the actions and the words of certain top referees who, quite a few of them, we've always thought were wrong in us at various times. It tells you about how Hugh Dallas managed to get up the ladder. It tells you why Bobby Tate continued to add on so many minutes for teams that were wanting to score against us, or if Rangers needed a goal and stuff like that. And it just gives you a really incisive background into just what it was actually like. You know, one of the things, it's actually not in the book, but the thing that, for example, we used to hear about these referees who would pick their last game before they retired, and it was always Rangers and stuff like that. That's actually a fallacy. That actually never happened. You were actually able to pick whatever game you refereed on the basis of the lassie who gave out the fixtures, who was a lassie called Maureen Cooper. And there was a thing that the referees have to do, which is the Cooper test, which is to see how many miles you can run in 12 minutes. Within the SFA, they called it the Maureen Cooper test. And she liked you, and you go to referee whoever you liked. Then we go into the whole some of the stuff that happened in my life, particularly a couple of incidents were, you know, life-changing for me, intertwined with what was happening with Celtic at the time, and then we get to the internet bandpots and the rise, and I've spoken to people like Chris McGuigan, like Graham Wilson, like Richard Swan, all these guys give you insight into why they started their own projects and podcasts and stuff like that, and it's really, really fascinating stuff. To find out how the Shambolic podcast started and all that kind of thing. We look at various incidents about the songs and about the Dallas Gate and about the demise of Rangers. We've got three fantastic writers. We've got Brogan Trevino, his insight into that. We've got James Forrest who's Celtic News, and we've got a guy who's a Hibs supporter who does it from a different angle about what it meant to him for Rangers to be dead, basically. And I talk about things that happened in my life, not just the bad stuff. I talk about, you know, for the first time I went on a podcast, the impact that had on my life, joining the HomeBhoys, maybe give you a bit background into yourself and Joe and Jason and my experiences with them. And we bring us nicely to the end, and Neil Lennon, and Jason has a great piece about his thoughts on Neil Lennon. As somebody who probably knows Neil Lennon more than any of us do, the most well, and giving his insights and thoughts into what Neil had to go through, and I gave my thoughts. And I put forward a theory about why Neil Lennon is the guy he is and stuff like that. And there's 406 pieces of that. There's a few tales of debauchery in there, as there always is in my books. You know, it's kind of unfortunately the way I am. And then that's about 460 pages, which was beautifully edited by yourself, Harper. Great cover design by Josh Gaffney. Great illustrations by Josh Gaffney in the kind of after story, which is projecting Paddy Court, which is a wee bit fun, sort of part 2 channel on Charlie Mulgrew, the last book. 10% of profits will be going to Celtic Graves, 10% profits will be going to the Hillsborough Justice campaign. We'll have a raffle at the book launch for these people. Well, we'll raffle for the Hillsborough Justice campaign, and we'll have the Parrots buffet at the Celtic Graves, where, you know, he's going to prepare all this stuff for the goodness of his heart, and he will then go up, put a couple of pounds in his pot, and that will go immediately to Celtic Graves on the night. Will be represented there, and in effect, you know, to be semi-serious for once on this show, this book is kind of my thank you to all the people that have helped me over the last few years, and I include everybody that's on here now, with particularly Jason and Joe and yourself, Harper, and Chris for the Lost Boys and there, you know, because I went through a horrific time, which I detail in between 2008 and 2010. That put me at the point, these things that I'd never thought I'd never contemplate. And if you go on the first Lost Boys show, and, you know, I had 30 followers on Twitter that day, probably 20 number of just hookers, basically. And then the next day it was 150 and so on, and getting the platforms that HomeBhoys Media provided for me to flog my stuff and hear my shite talk and all that kind of thing. You know, to this day when I've got over 5,000 followers and all that kind of thing. So hopefully it encompasses the whole Celtic family that I've experienced, and hopefully all that Celtic family can come again and renew their friendships at the book launch. You know, we'll have a book launch on November the 24th, 5 o'clock onwards. We'll have a meet and greet. I'll be a Q&A. I've actually prepared a speech this time for the first time. We'll have the Parrots buffet, and then we'll have Paul and Chris for the weeks. We'll come and tear the roof off the association.
Anybody else singing on the night?
Well, we were hoping for one person in particular, but he's demanding.
Aye, all right, I'll do it.
Well, you were singing in the last one, weren't you? At the moment, we're in discussions with our top singer for the island, but his rider's very big at the moment, so we're trying to negotiate that down the way.
Fucking Daniel O'Donnell, what?
I'm sharing a room with him. I'll make sure he does it.
If I'm sober, I'll sing, not a problem.
Oh, well, you'll not be singing then, will you?
We would like you to kick off the event, Joe.
What?
We would like you to kick off the event.
Absolutely, I'll get it going, not a problem.
No, because at the end of the day...
Get it going here.
Let's face it, Joe, we'd be asking if you weren't a good singer, so... you can project your songs, A Boy and Worldwide Tim Parade, and people can put, your face to the name and stuff like that. And we just want a great, it's amazing and very humbling for me, the people that they work in the background, because I kind of just sort of turn up, talk shite, and sing.
That's a hang pop.
Sorry?
I was going to ask you that because I've told people that I'm going to the game in November. And there's a book launch and blah, blah. And the more I tell people about it, the more I think to myself, is this actually happening? Is this real? Has it gotten this big? And I imagine for you, it must kind of be a bit surreal. You know what I mean? The fact that it's all... you have more or less charted the narrative from, before you were on Lost Boys all the way through to now. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's quite a feat, I have to say, because that's tough.
It is very surreal, because certainly in the last couple of months, a couple of people have started to recognise me in games, which is weird. Somebody asked me to take a photo taken with them on the Jimmy McGrory event, which is very, very, it makes me feel like an absolute dick, to be honest, when you've got guys like Billy McNeil and all that standing there, and I could see everybody going, why are they getting a photo with that clown, I mean, it's surreal, but what's even better is the fact that, as I say, I just kind of turn up, talk to people, spare speech, answer questions, sign books. The people in the background, like me on Power, like Jason himself, the guys like you and Harper, who, allow me a platform and all that kind of thing. And I mean, Harper's, I always say that, and I've go into detail with all he's in the book, but Harper's one of these guys who kind of never blows his own trumpet unless he's had about 9 things.
Definitely.
But the work he's done for me with the book in terms of formatting and editing it has launched me into a level of professionalism that I probably wasn't capable of, and everybody always comments on that.
Still waiting on some fucking kickbacks anyway.
The fact that when they read the book, they always go, it looks really, really good, and it does look really, really good. And it's very humbling for me, for other these guys, and Stephen, the Offery Star, and Suzanne King, they actually come along and say, no, I'll help you and I'll do that, and you do in your moments, your dark moments, think, Christ almighty, why are these people helping and all that kind of thing, But it is very humbling, but it couldn't be done. It's not a one-man show, and it couldn't be done without all you people. And with the rise of HomeBhoys Media as well, it feels like everybody's now, talking about Chris Faye's recording that, and the stuff we do here and the blogs, that everybody's coming into their own now, and it's all built into one big family, and that's my aim in life, is to promote and to kind of unite the Celtic family as best as I possibly can.
I mean, from day one, I think we've all sort of seen this as being an extension of bringing Celtic supporters together. That's all the point has ever been.
100%.
None of us have ever gained off this. I mean, it's just, it is what it is, and I don't know, I suppose we can't emphasise that enough for anybody who's, I suppose, new or listening or whatever, who wants to get involved. But it's for the fans, by the fans, and for the love of the club, and nothing more to be said than that. And to be honest with you, I can't wait for this.
No, I'm the same. I absolutely can't wait. I missed the last few. I wasn't working, but now thank God I'm in employment for for the near future anyway. So I'm actually cannot wait to get across for this book launch.
When you come to them as well, you'll meet the medical profession for the TikTok show. Quincy.
That's right.
He's lassie.
I heard that. Aye. Syphilis.
That's got to be there as well. Anyway, sorry, Paul. Carry on.
Paul, tell everybody where they can buy it. I don't think you've told anybody where they can get the book.
Well, it's available on Lulu.com. You can search my name. It's available on Amazon. You just search retailer my name. It's available in your Kindle store. And if you want it for your iPad, just get in touch with me on Twitter at Paul Larkin74. That seems to be a route that more and more people are going, as you can see in Kindle and stuff like that.
If you're not on Twitter and you're listening to this, back to this, email hailmedia@gmail.com and we'll pass it, or homeboys@gmail.com, we'll pass it on to Paul.
Paul, I've seen it in some strange places. I've seen it in Disneyland. I've seen it in New York. I've seen it in Times Square. It's getting around this book.
That's kind of, I mean, this isn't exactly what I told you, being very humbled by it. I mean, that's mostly due to people like Chaz Duffy and Kevin Devine in the Bronx, and that just kind of sums it up. You know, it's like these people, they didn't have to do this. You know, they're not going to get paid for it. They're not going to get anything out of it. But they do it because they care. And it goes back to the Celtic thing. It's not about me, it's about being Celtic supporters, and they understand, you know, what we know about, what Celtic's all about, and all that kind of thing. And that's why people do it, you know what I mean? And if I can help them in any way, I'll constantly mention the book, promote their stuff and all that kind of thing. I'll do that because at the end of the day, you know, we all have a laugh and a joke about it and all that kind of thing. But there's nobody out there that can do any of this on their own, you know. We couldn't do the HomeBhoys on our own or, you know, write a book on our own. You have to have these people around you inspiring you and things like that. And then this book is kind of like my thank you to all these. And I hopefully mention all the people and the bit parts that they've played in my life in the recent years and stuff like that. And that hopefully people can actually appreciate that, as you say, Joe, I mean, there's a lot of time and a lot of effort goes into these shows and stuff like that. And nobody does it for financial gain or anything like that. They just do it because they care and they enjoy it. And hopefully that's what will come across at the book launch as well.
Well said, Paul. Well said.
Well said, Paul. Well said.
There's one wee thing I want to add before we wrap up, and I get any last thoughts for you guys. A couple of guys highlighted in the chat room when we're talking about Movember. And this is something I've been meaning to bring up for ages, and it keeps slipping my mind. And I can only apologise to Housey for my oversight in this in the past. Of course, Housey is a big friend of ours, the show and that, and I sometimes step in and help out an over and over radio show. Housey has been on a sort of... Housey's got this amazing thing going at the minute. Beats to Beat Cancer, and it's all about raising money for cancer research. And they've actually got an album. If I can just bring it back up on iTunes, you go on iTunes and look for the band's called Our Little Life. The album's called The Fire and the Desire, and it's only $4.99 for it's a 10-track album, and all the money for that's going to cancer research. Our Little Life. If you go onto Facebook and you look for Our Little Life, you can join the Facebook page. And that's Housey's band, and he's got loads of stuff going on. That I seen a while back that Noel Gallagher had donated a signed guitar for a fundraiser. We're having that. So Housey's got some amazing stuff. Lee House, he's got some amazing stuff going on to raise money for cancer research. And I know it's a subject that's very, very close to Housey's heart, as it is to many of us who've lost family members and friends to cancer, sadly, in recent and past times. So Housey, we wish Housey all the very best, and please go and buy that. It's $4.99. You're going to get a good album off iTunes for that, right? Our Little Life is the name of the band, and the album's called The Fire and the Desire. And the reviews I've heard, and I'm not just saying this because it's Housey and what it's for, but even aside of what the charity is, the reviews I've heard of this album is meant to be absolutely fantastic. So go and check that out. Once again, the band Our Little Life, and the album's called The Fire and the Desire. And do everything you can to help that, and of course join in with our Movember stuff and that. So on that note, that's us 2 hours in, guys. Thanks again to our callers. Is there anything anybody's want to add? We can still go on like for another 10 minutes or so if there's anything anybody wants to add at the end. Just I suppose I'll go around the table then. In fact, I'll go around the table. I'll get a prediction, because we always seem to forget to preview the next game on this show. I don't know why, right? We're playing Dundee United on Sunday. 12:45 kick-off. I don't know who's got tickets, who's gone, who's what. I'll go around the table, get any last thoughts that you want to add to the podcast tonight, and I'll get a prediction for the score on Sunday. So I suppose I'll just go around in order here. Terry, anything you want to add tonight and your prediction for Sunday?
No, I've not got nothing to add. I'll maybe take you up on that email, because I'm not on Twitter, and to get Paul's book on iPad. But
email us at homeboys@gmail.com, man, or get in contact with Jason. Jason will pass it on to Paul, whatever.
Aye, just PM me on Celtic Mind at Terry, and I'll get you all the details, mate.
Alright, prediction for Sunday, I think we'll gobble them about 4-0.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Are you going to the game, Terry? I have to say, Dundee United was always my favourite away trip. I don't know if it always seemed to be. We were up there around about Boxing Day, which was always around about the whole of the time. You're in a good mood and that anyway. But Dundee United was always a great trip away for me. Like,
I'm not going up. My boy's going up, but I'm just going to watch it with telly. But I think we'll continue with fine away performances in Scud Dame. And
is your wife going to get sent out to do the shopping or whatever when the game's on?
Depends where the sun is at the time in the living room.
I still didn't keep the shade off the telly.
You want to start moving your lamps around, Harry.
Cheers, Terry. So what did you say, 5-0?
Thanks again, lads.
Right, cheers, Terry, man.
Terry,
Talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Right, Joe, we'll come to you then. Seeing as you can't seem to keep your mouth shut tonight, we may as well come to you next.
A prediction?
Aye. Or anything else you want to add? Or you just got you'll probably just butt in on that 4 or 5 times anyway. You've took the crown for me tonight, I can tell you that.
Oh yeah. Cheers. Anything to add? No, not really. Prediction. I think we're looking at a hard fought 2-0. Just because it's Dundee United.
Okay. Right. Who will come next? Chris Kuyava?
Can I just say that I was sitting in the car park on Tuesday night reading Paul's book, and he'd be saying earlier about all the stuff that the Celtic fans do for charity and all that. And obviously, I've got my book as well. But if you take my book, you're going to get a Celtic book that focuses on what the team did, well, a wee bit of what I was doing at the time. With Paul's book, it's completely different. You get dragged into Paul's world, and it just captivates you. And he always does a fantastic job at it. And this latest one's just phenomenal to see how hard they had it and how much he's come through all that. It's brilliant. If you haven't got it, go buy it. Don't worry.
And your prediction?
I think it's going to be tight. I think it's all that 4-0 we had in the cup last season was kind of the odd one out, because the last time we were up there we lost 1-0. The time before that we won 1-0. So I just Tannadice always seems like a tight place to go, even though their defence has been rotten this year. But I think we'll edge it 2-1.
2-1. Okay. I'll come to Gary Boy, Somerset Tim.
I want to make a prediction. I just like to echo what Paul and Terry said about naming the stands after Bugs McCann and Jimmy McGrory. I think they should be named after the North Stand, named after Bugs McCann. It's like some of the title of the David Potter's book about Willie Maley, the man who made Celtic. Willie Mulford, the man who formed Celtic. Willie Maley, the man who made Celtic. Bugs McCann, the man who saved Celtic. So, yeah. Prediction 3-1.
3-1.
First goal.
To Dundee United.
Who did you say the first goal there, Gary?
What?
Tony Watt. Okay.
Tony Watt sounds good to me, man. So get your money on that. That sounds a banker, right? And if you lose money on that, you can hunt him down, right? Somerset Tim, and you can find. I can tell you the pub exactly. You'll find them at the weekend because Chris Losboy will tell me, right?
You live in Somerset, Gary, I take it?
No, I live in Bristol, Jason.
Oh, right.
Just originally from Glasgow, but grew up in Somerset.
All right, because I'm at a place Blue Anchor.
No Wurzel accent, I'm afraid. So.
Aye, do you know a place down there called Blue Anchor? I went there when I was a kid. Blue Anchor in Somerset. Aye, I was there.
Do you know a place? There's the funniest name, one of the funniest names in the world, Bodra. You heard of that name? Bodra.
No, I'm
yeah, that's actual name. The original.
Bodra.
Bodra, as in ball bag.
Blue Anger sounds like a gay sailor's bar.
I mind you that when I was younger. Happy memories here. A caravan. I was a kid. It was excellent.
Jason, as soon as you're talking, what's your any final thoughts for the night?
Final thoughts? No, just enjoyed the show tonight. A wee blather because it just felt like ages since our last show. But so I take it we'll have one next week before the Barca game. So just the United game. I'm going with Terry here. I think we'll absolutely scud them. I think there's some sort of wrong with Dundee United now. I think I don't know. There's something maybe going on there. I don't know.
Send DJ Mac and the boys, then they'll find it.
I'm going to go Tony Watt 5-0.
Well, that's a big statement. Yeah, it is. Big winnings for the bookies for you, shit.
And what else did I have to add? Can't even remember. There you go.
You're going to tweet the link for November, and I'll
November I will do.
Right.
Yep, I'll tweet the link straight after the show. In fact, I'll do it just
now. Stephen, I don't even know if I even want to come here, but any final thoughts?
Charming, David. Use Alloa folk. Always charming.
I'm no for Alloa. I'm for Tulloch.
Firstly, I'd like to thank. I'm really enjoying Paul's book. I'd like to thank him for swerving me in the way of donating the money for the Cash and Carry Cafe to Celtic Graves. Very humbling being there on Saturday. And if anybody that's no listening to the podcast Chris put out there, absolutely blessed that I'm hopefully going to give everybody's money to it. Reference the game, I'll go for 3-0 to Celtic. I think Neil Lennon will play mind games saying, if you want to play against Barcelona, turn it on up here. Mm-hmm. I'm going up in the Casamount bus and we're stopping off and picking folk up in the Gorbal, so I don't know if we'll make it back.
I'm sure you'll make it back, Stephen. You'll be alright, son. Don't worry about that. I'm just saying, I can't wait for this liver party.
Oh, listen, I've discussed it with the Green and White writer. The menu's getting very basic now. The only red snapper there will be some red-haired woman. It's getting very humble now, like the good brother docked out the food 125 years ago.
Right, that's even better, man. That sounds good to me. I've got a very plain palate.
Should we mention that our friend with the fierce fist is coming over?
Yes, well, carry on, Joe. You were given your platform if you wanted something to add.
What?
You were given your chance.
I'm just saying that Danny O'Connor's coming over. Danny from the podcast is coming over next Tuesday night, I think, and then come for the game next Wednesday. So keep your eyes open.
The furious feeding fists.
They might see him around, Barrowlands and stuff, or at the game. And plus, he's looking for a ticket too for his mate, not for him. He's got a ticket, so that's my announcement.
Happy days. I'm sure Danny. I can't wait to hear Danny's thoughts and all that. We'll be catching up with Danny later in the month. So can't wait to hear about all that. Aye, brilliant. So finally, Paul.
Nothing more to add. 2-1 to Celtic on Sunday. 2-1
to Celtic. I suppose my own wee final thoughts is great show tonight. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks to all the callers. 2 hours and 10 minutes is flown, to be honest. Jason says it feels like we've not had a chat for ages. I'm going to go 2-0 Celtic. But sitting the fence there, but aye, 2-0 Celtic. So that's us. Wrap them up, guys. Thanks again for your time. It's Thursday evening. There'll definitely be a show on Monday. I won't cry off this time. My good wife is my good wife is travelling to Scotland at the weekend, so I'm home alone. I'll be here on Monday, so I'll definitely.
Which one's your good wife?
The one that's here listening.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Tommy in Glasgow just tried to call in there. Tommy, sorry man, you've just missed us. We're just wrapping up. Tommy, call us on Monday. We'll be back on Monday night. Tommy in Glasgow, call us then. But we're definitely wrapping up now. I'm already running over, and I've got to be up at 5 o'clock. So definitely finished. Right, cheers guys. Talk to you all on Monday. Hail. Cheers.